an invincibly driven sect leader, a senior brother addicted to slacking off, but because of a mission down the mountain, the two unexpectedly came together without any entanglement. Hua Qingyuan died suddenly from overworking with 996 work hours. He discovered he had been reborn, as a true disciple of the Qingyun Sword Sect. To avoid repeating the same mistake, he vowed never to work overtime in this world. Heaven, it seemed, pitied him. In this life he possessed unparalleled cultivation talent. Even if he slacked off every day, breaking through cultivation realms was as easy as drinking water. In this world, cultivation realms are divided into 3 stages: low, middle, and high. Ordinary disciples are basically at the key condensation and spirit transformation stages. Next are the soul gathering realm, spirit palace realm, and purple mansion realm. In the ascension realm, cultivation reaching the spirit palace realm allows one to compete for the position of true disciple in any sect. Above that, the purple mansion realm. In some weaker sects, one would be called an ancestor, but in Qingyun Sword Sect, it's merely the cultivation expected of an outstanding true disciple. While Qingyun, in order to slack off more effectively, sealed his cultivation in the Lingong mirror. He's the last outer disciple among the true disciples, and everyone else strives to surpass him, because Qingyun Sword Sect rules state that, as long as one can defeat true disciple in the grand sect competition, they can take their place. Today Hua Qingyuan was napping under a tree as usual, but he was informed that the sect master wanted to see him. He wanted to inquire about the details of yesterday's mission. It turned out that Hua Qingyuan, being the last in his class, only had to do simple tasks like guiding the outer sect disciples. Unexpectedly, in order to leave work on time, Hua Qingyuan cleaved him into a remnant soul with a single sword. I was just about to strike another blow to completely annihilate the evil cloud, but then the end of work bell rang. To uphold my principle of absolutely never working overtime, he let the evil cloud escape. He asked his young fan, "Do not you dare tell anyone about me failing to completely obliterate the evil cloud with one strike." Knowing the answer his young fan would definitely give, Hua Qingyuan grabbed his shoulders. He said, "I did a great job. I'll teach him a couple more moves next time I'm free." After saying that, he left his little fanboy with a cool back view. Sect Master's main hall. This is the residence of Wenjian, the strongest in the sect. He's a peerless expert at the 6th level of the Ascension realm. People call him the Qingyun Sword God. But Hua Qingyuan was not afraid of him. On the contrary, their private relationship was quite good. It was only because Hua Qingyuan unexpectedly discovered that the renowned unparalleled expert at the 6th level of the Ascension realm was actually a tea farmer. Using his past life experience of cultivating succulents, Hua Qingyuan cultivated superior spirit tea. Successfully controlling Wenjian, Huajing cultivating good relationships with superiors is a required course for wage earners. After receiving the tea, Wenjian blushing asked Hua Qingyuan what was seized yesterday during the mission. Hua Qingyuan did not beat around the bush, showing them what he'd found on the Muyun sect disciples. Wenjian's face turned pale upon seeing the item. "Tuxuo, do you know what this means?" Before he could finish, Hua Qingyuan crossed his arms, quickly stating that he did not want to know, nor did he care. Then he turned and ran out of the hall. "If the sect master has nothing else, then I'll go back first." When Jan's roar echoed throughout the hall, he told Hua Qingyuan, although he had made some achievements in cultivating spiritual tea, as a direct assault, his temperament should not be so lackadaisical. Last week, it was clearly his turn to explain sword techniques to the other disciples. "Why did not you go?" A bead of cold sweat trickled down Hua Qingyuan's cheek. He explained that by the time it was his turn, it was already too late. This was his principle. "Please understand, princess." When Jian, hearing this reason, was instantly furious. "Tell Hall, it's because he missed the opportunity to learn the Qingyun sword technique. 4 hall masters came to find him for this, saying they want to remove him from his status as a direct disciple." Hua Qingyuan listened, his voice slightly trembling. Did they really say that? When Jian also realized that his previous words were a bit harsh. I was just about to comfort Hua Qingyuan, but what met my eyes was a face beaming with exaggerated joy. "That's great," I thought to myself, "demoted inner disciple. Let's see who dares to criticize him for slacking off anymore. When will they relieve me of my true disciple status?" When Jian finished listening, my blood pressure just spiked. He pointed at Hua Qingyuan and roared, "Think again. Since the founding of Qingyun Sword Sect, there's never been a precedent for dismissing a true disciple." "Dismissing you? Is not that slapping me and the other elders in the face?" Hua Qingyuan was heartbroken after hearing this. He knew there was not such a good thing. Suddenly a soft and sweet voice entered the hall. When Jin, overjoyed, "Jansen, you're here." The girl walked into the hall bathed in warm sunlight. Her expression was incredibly serious. Tens of thousands of inner disciples work day and night just to become a true disciple. "Senior brother, but you want to give up this rare opportunity. Why is Yu Jiangxin the top true disciple of Qingyun Sword Sect? He's not only a beautiful girl, but at such a young age, he's already at the Purple Mansion realm, 4th level. He's seen as the future of Qingyun Sword Sect, and he's ranked 55th, second to last, among the true disciples." Hua Qing lightly, "Junior sister, you do not know. I've been stuck at the spiritual master realm for a long time, so I want to start over from the inner sect, resolidify my foundation, and then break through my bottleneck, overtake on a curve. As the saying goes, reviewing the old helps one understand the new. I never expected, senior brother, that you'd be so photogenic. You've given such deep thought to the path of cultivation. It's completely different from what I heard. My understanding of the sword heart is shallow." When Jan, watching from the side, had a twitch in his eye. Then he managed a strained smile. "Sawa, the reason I called Jiangxin here is because several hall masters have a request for you." Hua Qingyuan listened, watching Wenjin warily. "What request?" "They want you to carry out a mission with Jiangxin, to learn the diligent character of the chief senior disciple. The rustling of leaves entered the hall. Hua Qingyuan asked Sect Master Wen Jian with a terrified expression. You're joking, right? You should know that the current involution in the sect is started by Yu Jiangxin. He's the king of involution. I'm completely incompatible with someone like him. How could I possibly go on missions with him? Seeing Hua Qingyuan's performance, Wen Jian asked him, little Hua, Jiangxin is our sect's top direct disciple. So many people are lining up to learn from him. And now you get to go on a mission with him. Such a good opportunity. What's wrong with you? Hearing this, Hua Qingyuan quickly searched for reasons to explain. He was just worried that he was too weak. He was afraid he would hold his junior sister back and hinder her cultivation. He finished, a hint of pleading in his eyes. Junior sister, you would not want to hold me back, would you? But then what I saw was a face full of delight. He told Hua Qingyuan that he had been worried for nothing. As fellow we should support each other and progress together. Then he chuckled and said, Senior brother Hua can also use this mission to prove himself and dispel the rumors surrounding him. A red alert sounded around Hua Qingyuan. He saw through it. This junior sister wants to manipulate him and get him involved. With that, Hua Qingyuan clasped his hands in a fist, his expression serious. The sect leader, my going on a mission is not the problem. I'm just worried about who will take care of the tea leaves. Wen Jian's twitched under Hua Qingyuan's anxious gaze. He gave an gesture. Hua Qingyuan stared at the groundbreaking gesture, slightly stunned. Then Wen Jian spoke seriously. Qingyuan, as long as you successfully complete this mission, I, your sect master, will give you 3 days off. Hua Qingyuan's pupils widened instantly. A gust of wind hit him. The worry on his face vanished completely, replaced by an enthusiastic, almost zealous fervor. Hua Qingyuan clasped Wen Jian's hand tightly. Sect master, there's no time to waste. Please tell me the mission details and location. I, Hua Qingyuan, will go through fire and water. I will not hesitate. At noon, Yu Jiangxin's exquisitely beautiful cheeks were beaded with sweat. A languid voice came from behind her. Junior sister, you is so diligent. Yu Jiangxin, panting, looked towards her own senior brother. Said he retreated for a quarter of an hour. Hua Qingyuan nonchalantly stated that not sleeping at noon will affect the afternoon's energy. This was the first time the junior and senior sisters' philosophies clashed. In Yu Jiangxin's opinion, cultivation requires seizing every opportunity. He arrived here precisely at noon and swung his sword 3,000 times. And you, senior brother, as a cultivator of the Lingong mirror, with such bright eyes. Calling Hua Qingyuan lazy is quite an understatement. I feel like I've been pulled again. Hua Qingyuan gave 2 thumbs up, showing that his junior martial sister was right. He decided to double his cultivation efforts upon returning. He thought, how come junior martial sister Yu is so young, and yet acts like an elder? Seeing that Hua Qingyuan was not listening, Yu Jiangxin sighed and said, it's getting late. Let's set up. 2 figures shot into the sky, becoming streaks of light. The task Wen Jian assigned them was to investigate the mass disappearances of villagers in the Tinian Mountain Range. And the Tinian Mountain Range is near Qingsu City, which was stained with blood. Hua Qingyuan suspected that this was certainly the work of the demon sect again. After listening, Yu Jiangxin told Hua Qingyuan to rest assured about this mission. The task force will protect her. Hua Qingyuan was instantly overjoyed. Yu Jiangxin's words meant she could just relax on this mission. Not only would she be under his protection, she'd also get a 3-day vacation. This time she really hit the jackpot. They were to depart at noon. After traveling for a while, the sun took on a reddish hue. After landing, Yu Jiangxin suggested they first look for local villagers to inquire about clues. Su Jiangwo reached into his bosom and fumbled around. An iron box appeared in his hand. Seeing this, Yu Jianxing, he blankly asked senior brother Hua, what do you think? Hua Qingyuan did not answer him, but instead began a countdown. 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. The countdown ended. Hua Qingyuan put away the iron box, happily expressing that sometimes he would get it. Under Yu Jiangxin's surprised gaze, he gradually ran far away. I'm gonna rest. I'll leave the matter of questioning the villagers to you, junior sister. See you tomorrow on the bustling streets. Hua Qingyuan entered an inn called Dark Fragrance Tower. He asked the innkeeper for a room. 1 silver. The innkeeper's indifferent voice reached Hua Qingyuan's ears. Just as he handed over the key, Hua Qingyuan narrowed his eyes slightly. Even if there's a problem with the person, as long as the bed is fine, that's all that matters. Soon Hua Qingyuan lay down on the bed. He wondered how his junior martial sister Yu's investigation was going. After some, an argument erupted downstairs. Hua Qingyuan sat up abruptly. He actually fell asleep, but the sound outside sounds familiar. At the inn, Yu Jiangxin anxiously looked at the innkeeper and asked, is he unhappy with the amount of silver I gave him? Junior sister Yu, since the innkeeper says all the rooms are full, do not press him any further. Yu James was overjoyed. Senior brother Hua, how did you get here? Hua Qingyuan did not answer. He looked at the innkeeper. Innkeeper, let my junior sister and me share a room. That should be all right, right? After speaking, Yu Jiangxin stared blankly at Hua Qingyuan. The innkeeper's face fell and he looked away, indicating, whatever. Then, Yu Jiangxin's big eyes blinked as he read, he'll be sharing a room with senior brother Hua. His little face instantly flushed crimson. Hua Qingyuan did not respond. He simply told him indifferently that if he did not want to sleep on the street, he should just come along. The blush had not faded. Only the girl's murmured agreement remained. Yu Jiangxin glanced at Hua Qingyuan, falling slightly nervously behind. In contrast, Hua Qingyuan's face was cold and impassive, showing no change in expression. Seeing this, young Yu Jiangxin patted his chest, comforting himself. It's not like they're doing anything wrong. Why are you being shy? He can take on 100 people with one hand. He can totally protect himself. Imagination is always beautiful. Since entering the room, Yu Jiangxin almost shouted out how nervous he was. Seeing this, Hua Qingyuan asked him if he had eaten dinner. Want some? This sentence seemed to flip a switch in Xiao Yu Jiangxin. He was no longer nervous, and with an air of seniority he said to Hua Qingyuan, "Senior brother, we cultivators should maintain a clear and tranquil mind, discarding the temptations of food. Only when the heart is calm can—" Before he could finish, a piece of pastry was stuffed into his mouth. His small mouth immediately made contented sounds, until he chewed and swallowed the pastry. An expression of happiness and satisfaction filled his whole little face. Then he realized, his face flushed red as he questioned Hua Qingyuan. How could he use pastry to ambush him? Was it delicious? Yu Jiangxin did not dare to meet Hua Qingyuan's gaze. It's really delicious. Then he turned his face to the side. He stubbornly told Hua Qingyuan, but such food is of no benefit to our cultivation. It's best to eat less. Seeing his cute appearance, Hua Qingyuan suppressed a smile. Asking your sister Yu Jiangxin, have you ever considered that avoiding these worldly distractions of the 5 meats and 3 vegetables will necessarily lead to rapid progress in your cultivation? Yu Jing asked, is not? Hua Qingyuan waves her hand. No. We both walk this world. Not everything in this world can be avoided simply by wishing to. Futile avoidance will only leave you physically and mentally exhausted, timid and hesitant. Your cultivation will make no progress. Yu Jiangxin, after listening, asked him again, but if you do not achieve purity of mind and abstinence, will not you be lost in the mortal world, led astray by desire? Then how does one cultivate? See the sword heart's trap? Hua Qingyuan continued, I believe a true cultivator dares to confront the temptations of reality, and is brave enough to try. He then pointed to the pastries on the table. Just like these pastries, if you are afraid their deliciousness will disturb your mind, then you should savor him even more. Get used to him, until you can treat this high point as something ordinary, unmoved. Only then have you truly stepped into the realm of cultivation. Understand your true nature, and you can see the truth. Through truth, understand truth, manifesting all phenomena, unstained by one reveals freedom as usual. This is nature. Finally, under Hua Qingyuan's brainwashing, Xiangxin's innocent big eyes gradually took on a hint of foolishness. Hua Qingyuan finished, then glanced triumphantly at his junior sister, Cao. He let slip so much. This child has his brain short-circuited. Suddenly, Yu Jiangxin abruptly stood up. He told Hua Qingyuan that he had attained enlightenment only by directly confronting desire, and then abandoning desire. Can one return to simplicity and truth? Having grasped the essence, he dashed towards the pastries. His hands moved swiftly, twirling them around. By the time Hua Qingyuan reacted, it was too late. The pastries were almost gone. Afterwards, Hua Qingyuan looked like a little wife after being favored, telling Yu Jiangxin with a wronged and aggrieved expression, he'll just make do on the floor tonight. Yu Jiangxin chuckled, covering his mouth. He even had a full meal. He said he did not need to sleep. He said quiet contemplation would suffice. The night was silent. The senior and junior siblings presented a stark contrast. Suddenly, a dark figure quietly approached the door. He took out a bunch of incense from his bosom. He lit it and inserted it in front of their door. In a short while, smoke wafted through the crack of the door and filled the room. The strange scent roused Yu Jiangxin from his meditation. Suddenly, he found something was wrong with his body. Damn the poison's ferocity. Even with his profound cultivation, he felt its effects in just a moment. He collapsed powerlessly onto the ground. As he was fainting, Yu Jiangxin looked towards his senior brother. He called out, urging him to run, but he was surprised to find Hua Qingyuan looking at him as if nothing had happened. He was quietly watching him. Under the night sky, the leaves were blown by the gale. Rustling sounds. The innkeeper trembled, prostrating himself before the dark figure. The disciples of Qingyun Sword Sect's lord have been incapacitated by my spirit-severing incense. One of them is Yu Jiangxin, the true successor of Qingyun Sword Sect. The identity of the other is unknown, only known as senior brother Ha. A flash of surprise crossed the crimson pupils of the shadowy figure. I did not expect you to actually defeat Yu Jiangxin. As for those words, senior brother has not heard of them. He's probably just a small follower. The shopkeeper's voice trembled as he thanked the man. Thanks to your lordship's concealment talisman. Only then can we avoid being discovered by them. The man chuckled. He said the shopkeeper had performed a great service this time. The shopkeeper, after hearing this, showed a flash of joy in his eyes. He asked the man, then what about my wife and children? The man in black slowly leaped down. Tell the shopkeeper to rest assured. They are all alive and well. I'll send him to meet his family. The shopkeeper had just expressed his gratitude when a beam of light pierced his chest. The man tasted the blood splattered on his finger, then revealed a frenzied smile. He said the final sacrifice was finally about to be completed. 2 figures numbers 3 and 4 instantly appeared behind him. A flash of killing intent crossed the black-robed man's eyes. Go to the inn. Bring those 2 Qingyun Sword Sect disciples here. Meanwhile, Yu Jiangxin in the room slowly opened his eyes. He looked at the man in front of him and asked in confusion. Senior brother Ho then suddenly sat up. I just want to drag Hua Qingyuan away. Hua Qingyuan did not react. He just quietly watched this lively fool Yu Jiangxin. Yu Jiangxin realized something. He asked Hua Qingyuan why he was unharmed. Logically, his cultivation level should have been affected earlier. After listening to Hua Qingyuan's explanation, he learned that Hua Qingyuan had been using fetal breathing while sleeping. He was not circulating spiritual energy in meditation. Therefore, he did not inhale the dwelling incense. After waiting a while, finding that the person did not move, he dispelled the incense in the room and helped him detoxify. Looking at the dwelling incense burnt to ashes on the table, Yu Jiangxin showed a surprised expression. It's actually breaking spirit incense. Cultivators below the 5th level of the Z Mansion would all find it difficult to resist the incense's poison. Hua Qingyuan spoke calmly. Junior sister, your social experience is still too limited. One must always be vigilant. If you were to go on a mission alone this time, The consequences would be unimaginable. Having listened, Yu Jiangxin hastily clasped his fists and bowed to show his gratitude. The fragrant aroma of tea wafted through the room. Hua Qingyuan gently offered her the hot tea in his hand. Junior sister, there's no need for such formality. Have some tea to warm yourself up. Yu Jiangxin respectfully received the tea with both hands. She thought to herself, according to the rumors, senior brother Hua is merely a true disciple with a lazy disposition, but I did not expect that he would not only enlighten me on the mysteries of cultivation in just a few words, but also remain vigilant at all times, saving my life. Then she secretly glanced at Hua Qingyuan. He's considerate, and good-looking too. It's a pity that his cultivation. Suddenly, a blush crept on her delicate little face. Wait, what is he daydreaming about? As he was lost in thought, Hua Qingyuan turned to look at him, asking how he's recovering. Yu Jiangxin hastily expressed his gratitude for senior brother Hua's concern, saying he was already fine. He wondered in his heart, could it be that his senior brother? Just as the atmosphere in the room began to warm, a purple streak of light illuminated the entire village. It rushed towards the senior and junior siblings. Yu Jiangxin sensed the killing intent. He spun around sharply, shielding Hua Qingyuan behind him. He nervously told Hua Qingyuan to be careful. Then he found his senior brother had already gotten out of bed. Since you recovered, then I'll trouble you, junior sister. After all, it's not my working hours now. The window was open. Yu Jiangxin flew out from it. He did not argue with Hua Qingyuan, because judging by the aura, the opponent was a Zifu realm expert, with Hua Qingyuan's Linggong realm cultivation. Going up there would be no different from suicide. A fierce wind howled. A slender figure stood holding a sword in one hand. It seemed as if he could pierce the heavens with a single strike. At this moment, Yu Jiangxin held the long sword tightly. He had thought senior brother Ho was concerned for him. Unexpectedly, trouble had arrived. Your timing is impeccable. Violent spiritual energy surged through the sword, swallowing two figures instantly. One blue and black. Two different auras clash in the forest. The dust on the ground settles. The fourth sect of Donghu, Wielding sect, recognizes their robes. Eugene asked them coldly, why are the two fellow deists of Wielding sect here? Then they noticed the two had vacant stares. Like puppets. Yu Jiangxin exclaimed that it was blood fiends doing. Their souls were sealed by evil sorcery. They had become puppets. And this type of sorcery has always been in the possession of the demon sect. Yu Jiangxin was now certain that the Yunjin village disappearance was the work of the demon sect. The ghost cultivator exerted all his strength. The forest instantly transformed into a battlefield. From their exchange, Yu Jiangxin deduced that both cultivators were at least at the third or fourth level of the purple mansion realm. He lightly tapped his toes on the fallen leaves. Blue spiritual energy swirled around him. Anger and killing intent appeared on Yu Jiangxin's face. It just so happened that he was in a very full mood. Qingyun Sword technique. Side severing the moon. Violent spiritual energy howled through the woods. Seeing the danger, the two puppets instinctively leaped, attempting to avoid the attack in this way. Yu Jiangxin's eyes were cold and sharp, his fingers lightly tapping in the air, dispersing. The attack suddenly dispersed, transforming into countless beams of spiritual energy that shot into the air. Their attack ended. Two figures, their robes tattered, crashed to the ground. Yu Jiangxin did not know that his good senior brother was silently watching him with his divine sense. At this moment, Hua Qingyuan had a smile on his face. He exclaimed that watching the battle with divine sense was truly convenient. She did not even need to open her eyes. A glimmer of light returned to her eyes. Purple energy began to swirl around her. She murmured, "You dare harm Fenger." Watching the woman slowly rise, Eugene was surprised. She had not completely become a blood fiend. A sliver of self-awareness remained. Suddenly, an iron rod appeared in the woman's hand. Her eyes flashed with murderous intent. She said she would kill Yu Jiangxin. The next second, the ground beneath her feet was shattered by a single stomp. The powerful force propelled her instantly above Yu Jiangxin's head. The clang of metal instantly echoed through the woods. Yu Jiangxin looked up at the woman with some difficulty. She could actually wield such a heavy weapon. The sound of collisions echoed incessantly throughout the space. The earth cracked everywhere from the aftershocks of the blue and purple battle. It was constantly splitting. Such high-frequency combat, yet it only lasted a few moments. Yu Jiangxin's hands were numb from the shock, but the purple-haired woman seemed tireless. The surging attack struck Yu Jiangxin again. The sonic boom sounded again. Yu Jiangxin quickly dodged the attack. He pressed two fingers together. He swiped across the blade. "Let's end the probbing here." A cold voice echoed through the space. Inside the inn, Hua Qingyuan's eyes were tightly closed. He watched the movie with relish. No wonder Yu Jiangxin is the chief disciple. With such a short clash, he's already gauged his opponent's strength. Although both are at the fourth level of the Purple Mansion realm, the Wielding sect disciple, being a blood fiend, is also he can only fight instinctively, and suffered a great loss. Yu Jiangxin had already sheathed his long sword. Wild spiritual energy raged around him. The purple-haired woman sensed danger. She wanted to rush over and interrupt Yu Jiangxin. Inside the room, Hua Qingyuan opened his eyes. Slightly helpless, but it seemed his junior sister Yu. A gentle breeze blew past the window. A few fallen leaves drifted through the window crack into the room. Caught by hand. This should be enough. Meanwhile, above the forest, as the sheathed sword was slowly drawn, the towering ocean surrounding Yu Jiangxin became even more turbulent. Qingyun Sword Absolute Swordsman. A surging wave of sword energy erupted instantly. Before the purple-haired woman could react, the attack reached her. Her slender figure was swallowed by the raging wave of sword energy. The ground beneath her also crumbled and dispersed in smoke and dust. Yu Jiangxin slowly walked towards the woman. He had not used a killing blow with that sword. Observations suggest that neither of them has fully become a blood fiend yet. There's also a chance to awaken the true spirit. As he slowly walked towards the woman, a hand trembled and rose. with ***, a purple beam of light instantly arrived behind Yu Jiangxin. By the time he noticed it, it was too late. The spiritual energy shield in front of him was shattered. In this critical moment, a green light flashed. The attack was deflected by the green light. Grazed face. A violent explosion roared behind him. Yu Jiangxin looked back in terror. If he had been hit, he would have been seriously injured. What was that green light just now? But his body did not stop moving because of his thoughts. The next second he appeared behind the purple-haired man. Is it? With a twist of his wrist, the hilt of his sword struck the man on the back of the neck, who on earth saved him. A moment later the two were brought back to the inn by Yu Jiangxin. Yu Jiangxin was now deep in thought, his face grim. Hua Qingyuan sat up. So you've solved it already? Yu Jiangxin spoke with difficulty. Senior brother Hua, earlier you were interrupted by Hua Qingyuan. I was lying down the whole time. He looked at Yu Jiangxin thoughtfully. What's wrong? Yu Jiangxin quickly waved his hand, saying it was nothing. He thought to himself, I must have been overthinking. Senior brother Hua is only at the 6th level of the Spirit Palace realm after all. Then I suggested bringing these two back to the sect to ask the elders to set up a heartfelt exorcism array to dispel the blood ghost technique, but I'm still a little unwilling. That way, those people from the demon sect will escape, gonna wreak havoc elsewhere. Hua Qingyuan's face. He said it was for the sake of the world, but silently wished for a 3-day holiday. Then he walked to the two of them. Looks like I'll have to do it myself. Yu Jiangxin looked at his senior brother questioningly, asking what he was about to do. Hua Qingyuan explained calmly. He wants to use his divine sense to enter both of their stone seas and pull out the blood guilt seed. Yu Jiangxin looked at him incredulously, saying that he must be crazy. The stone sea is where a cultivator's true spirit resides. The slightest mistake could lead to the collapse of their true spirits. After he finished speaking, Hua Qingyuan's hand was already placed above their heads. Do not worry, junior martial sister. Seeing the scene, Yu Jiangxin became even more afraid. He asked Hua Qingyuan, do you intend to remove both of their blood fiend seeds simultaneously? What met his eyes was Hua Qingyuan's confident expression. Saving lives is like fighting a fire. We need to work on two fronts to be quick. Yu Jiangxin exclaimed. The point is not whether it's fast or not, but whether it's safe. Who would have thought that as soon as he finished speaking, Hua Qingyuan had already completed all the operations. He patted the remnants of the blood fiend seed in his hand, casually indicating it's done. Yu Jiangxin watched, exclaiming repeatedly in shock. This scene completely overturned his understanding. The blood fiend seed is buried deep within the stone sea, without harming anyone's life. Remove it. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Even the sect elders. I was not sure I could do this. Then his face lit up with excitement. He asked his senior brother. When he had mastered this technique, he could not exactly say he'd invented a new method. To avoid revealing himself, Hua Qingyuan casually made up an excuse. He told Jiangxin, this is a fragment of a cultivation technique he unintentionally discovered in the Sutra Pavilion. He found the content interesting, so he learned it, but it still scared Xiao Yu Jiangxin quite a bit. He said he dared to use an incomplete cultivation technique. He said his incomplete cultivation technique? Senior brother, you're playing with fire? The two from Wielding sect awoke. Upon learning that Hua Qingyuan and the other were disciples of Qingyun Sword Sect, the woman named Ziyun recalled that they had been captured by a demon sect elder. A week prior, she and the other had been on the same mission as Hua Qingyuan, ordered to investigate the disappearance of villagers. After pursuing the investigation, we discovered a demon sect elder, using the villagers' blood for a sacrifice. He accidentally stumbled into a trap the other party had set beforehand. He was subsequently subdued. Unexpectedly, he was then refined into a blood fiend using dark magic. After speaking, Ziyun solemnly clasped her fists in gratitude. Seeing this, Yu Jiangxin quickly waved his hands, saying there was no need to thank him. The one who saved them was his senior brother. After hearing Yu Jiangxin's words, Ziyun thanked Hua Qingyuan privately. Seeing this, Hua Qingyuan slightly raised his hand to indicate no need for formalities. Then Hua Qingyuan pretended to be quite troubled and told the two that they had consumed quite a lot of rare treasures just now. It was almost 30,000 high-grade spirit stones. Little Yu Jiangxin looked at his senior brother with a puffed-up face, thinking that it was clearly just a casual gesture. Where'd I use any rare treasures? They're not stupid. As a result, Ziyun thanked Hua Qingyuan again. She also said that after returning to her sect, she would definitely offer spirit stones of corresponding value. After hearing this, Xiao Yu Jiangxin was dumbfounded. Meanwhile, Hua Qingyuan showed a standard merchant's smile. Yu Jiangxin did not know. The purification array, widely acknowledged to dispel blood demon techniques, requires at least 50,000 top-grade spirit stones to set up. 30,000 is already a friend's price. I'm not making a profit. Seeing his senior brother's smile, Xiao's eyes held resentment. Seeing that things had reached a conclusion, Hua Qingyuan inquired about the information on that demon sect elder. A flash of resentment crossed Ziyun's eyes. This demon sect elder is called Ma Xuan. His direct combat ability is not very good. I can take him down alone, but he's very skilled in using formations and poison. They were incapacitated by Ma Xuan's poison. Hua Qingyuan snapped his fingers after listening and said, then it's simple. He happens to have a type of pill. It can immunize against the poisonous incense for 3 hours. Do the three of you have confidence in subduing that Mu Yun sect elder? Ziyun was overjoyed upon hearing this. He said that if they could be immune to the poisonous incense, he could kill that old geezer in a minute. Then his big eyes blinked. He felt something was wrong. He looked at Hua Qingyuan questioningly, wondering why it was them. Are not the three of you going together? Hua Qingyuan instantly retracted his awkward expression. He explained that saving them earlier had consumed a large amount of spiritual energy. He then supported his forehead, saying he was afraid he would need to sleep to recover. After hearing this, Xiao Yu Jiangxin frantically suppressed the urge to beat him up. Ziyun and the other quickly apologized to Hua Qingyuan, saying they were blind and had not noticed his hard work. A moment later, 3 streams of light speed under the crescent moon. Moonlight shone through the pill, revealing a gem-like luster. Xian looked at the pill in her hand questioningly, stating that the pill truly existed. But what was said? In contrast, Xiao Jiangxin's eyes were firm, saying he believed in himself. After his senior brother finished speaking, everyone swallowed the pill. Xian stroked his, saying he felt no difference from an ordinary pill. The purple-haired man agreed. Fellow Doistua, it seems your cultivation is not particularly high. Suddenly a gust of wind blew. Yu Jiangxin's narrowed. He gripped his long sword and looked behind him. The purple-haired man also sensed something was wrong. Since half an incense stick ago, there have not been any signs of life nearby. The iron rod appeared instantly. Xian's face. Could it be that? Wait until he finishes. A sinister voice echoed around the 3 of them. This means you've already stepped into my formation. Suddenly a cold glint flashed in Yu Jiangxin's eyes. Streams of sword energy slashed towards the side. The illusion was torn apart. A full-smelling swamp appeared beneath their feet. They sensed the intense resentment emanating from the swamp. Yu Jiangxin guessed that this black mud seemed to be refined from the bodies of deceased beings, trapped here by an array. After saying this, he asked Xian, "Did you hear any other voices just now?" Before Xian could speak, a sinister voice came from behind Yu Jiangxin. "Looking for me?" Moxuan actually appeared on his own accord. This was unexpected for the 3 of them. Xian was the most excited among them. She kept calling him Moxuan. The villainous Moxuan strangely sized up the 3 of them. I could remove his blood fiend so quickly. Seems the eldest disciple of Qingyun Sword Sect possesses some powerful treasure. Then he laughed, saying how one was missing. Could it be that, having heard of my great name, he's scared? At this moment, Xian could no longer hold back. She rushed towards Moxuan, saying that dealing with such trash was more than enough for her alone. Terrifying force slammed into the earth. Debris flew everywhere. Xian looked at the iron rod stuck in the mud with doubt. Then Moxuan's figure appeared on his other side. He chuckled, indicating he'd already learned his lesson. He could not believe he'd fallen for it again. Seeing this, the purple-haired man also joined the battle, but he could not even break through Moxuan's defense. It's so funny how stupid those righteous disciples are one after another. Does my bone-rotting incense smell good? Xian and the other heard this, and their bodies trembled. But before Moxuan could gloat for long, a fierce sword light slashed towards him. Moxuan tried to block it like he did with the purple-haired man. The next second, the smile on his face vanished instantly. His proud defense was shattered by the sword light. The ground beneath him also crumbled into dust. 3 figures stood suspended in mid-air. Yu Jiangxin looked at the large hole blasted into the ground. His face contorted with anger. Did it not hit? Then his expression drastically changed. The surrounding fallen leaves are also corroded by the red mist. It's poison gas somewhere around here. Moke's figure slowly takes shape. He wiped the sweat from his face. He thought to himself, this Yu Jiangxin really has some skills. Then he flew into the air. He began to laugh wildly, looking at the 3 people on the ground. He said, "It's useless. You've already been poisoned by my bone-erasing incense. It's already been 10 breaths. Give me 10 more breaths to counteract it." The breeze disperses the smoke and dust. Yu Jiangxin watched Moxuan, tears streaming down her face. A purple figure had appeared behind him without anyone noticing. A heavy blow like 1,000 jun. The blow landed squarely on Moxuan's back. Blood splattered. The earth trembled. The purple-haired man seized the opportunity. He unleashed his strongest attack on Moxuan. A faint smell of blood lingered in the air. Moxuan struggled to his feet. He incredulously questioned the 3 people in the air. Why were not they poisoned? 3 people, no explanation. Zai even made a face at him. She thought fellow Taoist Hua's pills are too amazing. Moxuan still could not accept it. His meticulously crafted incense poison was ineffective. He guessed that Yu Jiangxin must have other secret treasures on him. Looking at Moxuan, who looked like a dead dog, a fierce light flashed in Yu Jiangxin's eyes. This here. A cold voice echoed through the space. Suddenly Moxuan smiled again. His figure shot into the sky. He shouted to the 3 people, "That's right. The game ends here." The mirrored heaven's blood refinement surged. A translucent blood-red light instantly enveloped the 3 of them. Yu Jiangxin gritted his teeth and said to Moxuan, "What is it?" In the air, Moxuan laughed and explained, "I told the 3 of you have already stepped into my formation. Number 1, eliminate them." The flesh pulsed. A gurgling sound emanated. A terrifying pressure bore down on the 3 of them. Xian's voice trembled. Sukui Yu Jiangxin, a purple mansion 6-realm cultivator, remained silent. He locked eyes with Blood Fiend #1. In the air, Moxuan laughed again. He declared that none of them would be leaving alive today. As for the cowards hiding in the inn, he's already sent number 2, Purple Mansion Realm 5th level cultivator, to personally invite him. Yu Jiangxin listened, his face changing drastically. For Senior Brother Hua, Spiritual Palace Realm cultivator, this was a death sentence. Moonlight streamed through the window and fell on Hua Qingyuan. Suddenly, a crimson figure leaped through the window into the room. A sword Da leader who surpasses all of the younger generation. A senior brother who's been slacking off all day. These 2 who were originally on opposing sides unexpectedly found themselves working together. Yu Jiangxin learned that his senior brother was being hunted by a blood fiend at the 5th level of the Purple Mansion realm. He held nothing back. Countless sword lights slashed towards Blood Fiend #1. He wanted to kill him instantly. We broke the formation to rescue Hua Qingyuan. Who would have thought that the Blood Fiend was not some evil spirit with illusory cultivation? The moment I blocked its attack, I also single-handedly blocked Xian's sneak attack. His Purple Mansion realm 7th level cultivation fully erupted. Xian, along with his magical weapon, was flung away. The immense force smashed him into the ground. Seeing his fellow disciple injured, the purple-haired man flew into a rage and attacked. The moment the Blood Fiend was bound by the purple chains, sword light flashed forth simultaneously. severing the blood fiend's waist. Yu Jiangxin, clutching his long sword, stared intently at number 1, cold sweat damping his exquisite face. Number 1 acted as if nothing had happened. He grabbed his lower body with both hands. He pressed hard. Immediately he was completely restored. Before Yu Jiangxin could react, the instantly recovered blood fiend threw a punch. The purple-haired man could not even dodge. He crashed to the ground, and thus he fainted. Seeing the scene, Xian was like an enraged lioness. Terrifying speed left Xu no time to react, but in front of Suku's terrifying physique, her attack seemed unusually weak. Yu Jiangxin came up behind him to inform, sooner or later, we'll be exhausted by the blood fiend's terrifying regenerative ability. Xian looked at him after listening. She said she had a move that could directly annihilate the blood fiend. Yu Jiangxin asked in surprise, really? But it needs time to charge up. Please buy me some time. Yu Daoyu's slender figure seemed exceptionally desolate at this moment. Only a trace of determination flashed in his eyes. Leave it to me. Watching the three of them backed into a corner by his own blood demon, Moxuan not help but laugh loudly. Let Yu Jiangxin and the others use whatever tricks they have. Suddenly, Moxuan seemed to notice something. His lips curved into a slight smile. Number 2 side ended so quickly. So it seems the direct disciple is quite incompetent. A short while ago blood fiend no. 2 entered the room through the window, only to find the bed empty. In the next room, Hua Qingyuan had a cunning expression on his face. Hump, trying to make me work overtime? You're still too green. As he spoke, a violent explosion sounded behind him. The smile instantly vanished from Hua Qingyuan's face. Number 2 in his room let out a roar. Immediately 6 eyes turned to the side in surprise. Hua Qingyuan was seen supporting his forehead with one hand. He told number 2 in a displeased tone, if you could not find him, you should not have come back. You did not have to drag others into this. A moment later, number 2 was badly damaged, and of the 6 eyes, only 3 remained. Hua Qingyuan's cold voice echoed in the room. Almost instantly killed him. But I cannot let the demon sect elder sense it. I wanted to sleep peacefully. But you had to wake me up. After saying that, he grabbed no 2's hair, slowly dragging him towards the window. Since that's the case, let me view a gift in return. Looking at the large formation outside the window, Hua Qingyuan raised number 2. At this moment, a tear rolled down number 2's eye. It looked incredibly miserable. Immediately afterwards, it transformed into a red meteor and crashed into Moxuan's formation. Afterward, Hua Qingyuan scratched his head and sighed. Let's see if there are any better rooms. Sleep a little longer. Meanwhile, countless bloody fist shadows attacked Yu Jiangxin simultaneously. The difference in cultivation was instantly exposed, yet the purple mansion 4th level, just to block this single attack, suffered a considerable injury. On the contrary, the blood demon is getting stronger and stronger with the support of the formation. Moxuan exclaimed in the air. Yu Jiangxin truly lives up to his name as the top disciple of Qingyun Sword Sect. He has managed to hold on until now, but it's almost over. Number 1 attack. In an instant, number 1, enveloped in terrifying aura, leaped into the air. A bloody fist shadow slammed towards Yu Jiangxin again. Watching the approaching fist shadow, already assaulting him, a trace of despair flashed in Yu Jiangxin's eyes. In his heart, he bid farewell to Xian. He was probably unable to hold on any longer. Just then, a red meteor flashed behind Moxuan. The next second, the entire formation was pierced straight through. It smashed heavily into the ground before Yu Jiangxin. As the smoke cleared, 2 different expressions appeared on their faces. On the ground at that moment, Blood Fiend #1 and #2 were scattered like broken porcelain, scattered all over the place. Moxuan, immediately clutching his head and screaming, how is this possible? Looking at the large hole in the ceiling, Yu Jiangxin's first thought was that his senior brother was safe. He guessed that an elder had arrived. Moxuan, like Yu Jiangxin, did not think of Hua Qingyuan at all. They both thought it was an ascending immortal realm elder who had arrived. To this end, he planned to quickly end the battle. Blood Fiend enhancement technique. The shattered Blood Fiend instantly fused and charged towards Yu Jiangxin. Yu Jiangxin was just about to dodge, but found one of his ankles trapped by the flesh. In this critical moment, Xian's voice rang out behind him. Fellow Taoist Yu, I've kept you waiting. At this moment, Xian's body was enveloped in purple spiritual energy. The spiritual pressure of a purple mansion realm 8th level emanated from him. Moke saw this scene. He exclaimed in disbelief. A mere purple mansion realm nearly 4th level. How could he possibly amass the spiritual energy of the 8th level? Xiang's purple and red spiritual energies today collided violently in the air. Finally, the red was swallowed. Purple lightning danced wildly around the entire forest. In the room, Hua Qingyuan yawned. He walked to the window. He wanted to breathe some fresh air. But what met his eyes was a small mushroom cloud. Then he thought that this demon sect elder was not simple. He actually let Yu Shaimei and the others fight all night. Hua Qingyuan then reached into his bosom. He fumbled for his watch. With the asterisk snap asterisk it opened. At that moment in the woods, a 10-meter radius appeared before Yu Jiangxin's eyes. The rampant spiritual energy began to dissipate from Xian's body. He looked at the red mud on the ground. He could no longer hold back. He sat down on the ground. The previous strike had completely drained him. Yu Jiangxin looked at the scene before him, marveling at the astonishing power of Xian's attack. The purple-haired man explained to him, this is a unique skill within our Wielding sect. It involves accumulating spiritual energy and releasing it all at once, but the shortcomings are also obvious. The charging time is too long. Xian was helped up. She thanked Yu Jiangxin for helping block the blood fiend. Hearing this, little Yu Jiangxin quickly waved his hands. He said it was his duty. No need to thank me. Just then, Moxuan's roar came from above the 3 of them. Xian struggled to look up at him. He said there was still a lone commander left to deal with. At this moment, spiritual energy surged around Moxuan. He muttered, you actually destroyed no? One which I spent decades cultivating? He destroyed it. Zion saw that this old fox was still equipping. He wanted to go up and bash him to death with an iron rod, but now even standing was difficult for him. At this moment a calm voice reached their ears. "Leave this to me." Having said that, Yu Jiangxin drew his long sword. By this time, Mo Xuan's attack had been completed. Several bloody hands attacked Yu Jiangxin simultaneously. The sword's name resounded through the heavens. The blue sword light, like a sharp blade, pierced through all the blood hands, charged straight towards Mo Xuan. Qingyun swordsmanship. All sounds. The blood hands instantly turned into dust, scattering around Yu Jiangxin. Mo Xuan was not feeling well either, but from the previous battle, he knew Yu Jiangxin was already at the end of his rope. "I want to see how many more swords you can swing." Just then, Yu Jin let out a low shout. The sound of shattering porcelain echoed beneath Mo Xuan's feet. Only did Mo Xuan realize that Yu Jiangxin's previous sword strike had targeted the weak point. "I did not expect you to push me to this extent." Having said that, bloody spiritual energy enveloped him. His palm and swift, transformed into a beam of light, striking his brow. Immediately after, Mo Xuan's body aged at a visible speed. Yu Jiangxin stared blankly at this scene. Only when a bloody symbol began forming on Mo Xuan's chest did he realize Mo Xuan was using a secret technique at a great cost. Just as he was about to stop them, several crimson beams of light exploded behind him. "Damn, and the acupoints for releasing spiritual energy are sealed." Yu Jiangxin looked behind him in disbelief. Only Fai Yun. Between their brows emanated an aura identical to that of the Blood Fiend. Then Mo Xuan's triumphant laughter echoed. He told Jiangxin, "His Blood Fiend technique is not so easily dispelled. Bring him over numbers 3 and 4. Though your talent is exceptional, before this power, you're nothing but a greenhorn. I'll use you as the first sacrifice, an offering to my condensing heaven blood refinement array." With a final word, the blood-colored ghost claw lunged towards Yu Jiangxin. Regret flooded his mind. As the head disciple of the sect, he had failed his sect master and his master. He had been defeated by the demon sect. He thought of Hua Qingyuan again, tears welled up in his eyes. "And brother, I was too careless." Just as the bloody hand was about to pierce Yu Jiangxin, a cold voice interrupted. "Moa? Stop, let go of my junior sister." Mo Xuan was startled and quickly turned around. Then he looked around. He wondered where this Linganjing cultivator came from. Where was the Qingyun Sword Sect elder who killed Blood Ghost? No. 2. Hua Qingyuan saw this. "A helpless eye. Tell Mo Xuan to stop searching. It's just him." After hearing this, Xiao Yu's heart sank. "Tell Hua Qingyuan to run quickly. He's no match for Mo Xuan." Hearing that only Hua Qingyuan remained, Mo Xuan let out a cruel smile and said, "Hua Qingyuan is actually going to step forward. Then let's start with him." However, the blood, seeing Mo Xuan charging towards him, Hua Qingyuan simply snapped his fingers. The blood swamp condensed around Mo Xuan instantly shattered. Countless fragments scattered in the air. At this time, the Xian Palm spiritual power slowly dissipated. The control over the Blood Fiend seed has been lifted. Mo Xuan trembled looking at Ziyun and said, "It's the Blood Fiend seed he reactivated with his own essence blood. The Blood Fiend seed, its power is several times greater than usual. Even the strongest treasures and divine powers could not be instantly dispelled." But the purple-haired man did not give him a chance to speak. Several chains flew out, binding him. Zan followed closely behind. Countless staff shadows danced above Mo Xuan's head. The violent spiritual energy surged, pounding Mo Xuan into the ground. Before the dust settled, Yu Jiangxin came to Hua Qingyuan's side. Confusion filled her beautiful eyes. "Senior brother Hua, what exactly is going on?" But secretly he's a max-level expert hiding his cultivation. Now that his junior sister is in danger, Yu Jiangxin arrived before him, asking how he did it. Hua Qingyuan told his junior sister that he merely used a little trick. When he was expelling the Blood Fiend seed from his consciousness sea, his true spirit became entangled with Ziyan's. "I only removed the outer seeds. This is to prevent them from being manipulated again. But if the Blood Fiend seeds are reactivated by the Demon Sect elders again, the sword energy will be able to sever them." After hearing Hua Qingyuan's words, Ziyan and the other quickly thanked him. "Daiso's mind is meticulous. I truly admire." Yu Jiangxin looked dejected. "Why did not you communicate with me first? What if the plan fails? What are you still hesitating about?" He is the key figure in defeating the Demon Sect elder. Big Eyes looked at him incredulously. "Really?" She quickly said, "My junior sister was not kept in the dark. And how did he use such realistic acting to deceive the cunning Demon Sect elder?" After listening to Hua Qingyuan, Hua Ziyan wondered how he could so easily approach that old thief. He let out a silly hee-hee laugh. Then he looked at Hua Qingyuan with admiration, thinking that although his senior brother's cultivation was low, he's unexpectedly a person of great wisdom who understands all things. Suddenly a smile curved Hua Qingyuan's lips. He finished his work before going to work. As he fantasized about a wonderful vacation, a bloody light shot up into the sky. The condensing heaven blood refining formation was activated. Mo Xuan's figure slowly lifted from the ground. Mo Xuan's wounds healed at a visible speed. Blood Fiends 1 and 2's blood essence is rapidly decomposing. Mo Xuan absorbed it all into his body. It seems Mo Xuan is refining something. A blood-red halberd is now forming in Mo Xuan's abdomen. A net of sword energy shields the sky above Moxuan. The surging sword energy is completely blocked. He laughs triumphantly at the four people in the sky. Finally, he has become the aerial Yu Jiangxin. That was his last strike? He then looked at his companions. He said their spiritual energy was depleted. It would be best to retreat first. The three were startled. Yu Jiangxin, slightly tense, said, "What is he waiting for?" Trying to run, Moxuan's furious voice cut through. His forearms seized all four of them, watching the powerless crowd unable to resist. "Next I will show them true hell, Zion." The two sighed helplessly. "Is this guy immortal?" Look at the figure enveloped in demonic light. Just now, he was clearly only at the Purple Mansion 5th realm. How did Moxuan manage to complete tomorrow's blood refining war? Did he absorb those two blood fiends? Telny guessed right. Numbers 1 and 2 were originally part of his collection, but he did not expect them to be defeated. Zion still felt something was wrong. Even if number 1 is exceptionally strong and can take on 2 opponents, number 2, the blood fiend, is about the same strength as them. That only makes 3 in total. Tell Zion she guessed right. He himself could also be the sacrifice. This is the Demon Lord's first move to dominate the world. He looked at his senior brother with doubt. Fear was written all over the purple-haired man's face. He had once read detailed records about the Crimson Flame demon soldiers. At that time, the demon sect relying on the demon soldiers. In the end, it was the Transcendence Realm experts from the 5 regions of Central State who... Moxuan praised the purple-haired man for his considerable knowledge. As long as this offering is completed, the demonic soldiers will be complete. Having said that, the demonic fetus raised its hand, about to slaughter them on the spot. Suddenly a work bell rang. Moxuan's in place. He asked what that sound was. Hua Qingyuan closed the clock. He sighed helplessly. It's time. It's time to go to work. Moxuan looked at Hua Qingyuan questioningly. Work? What kind of painting is that? A blue sword light pierced the heavens and earth. Hua Qingyuan looked at Moxuan with a hint of anger. That means your death is imminent? Yu Jiangxin, standing beside them, was completely dumbfounded. He incredulously asked his senior brother. He was the one who unleashed that sword energy just now. Seeing this, Xiao Yu Jiangxin wanted to say something else, but Hua Qingyuan interrupted him. Junior sister, you should leave as soon as possible. Call the elder who killed Blood Fiend, no? 2 over. He also spoke up, but Hua Qingyuan said, now Moxuan has the strength of a Purple Mansion cultivator. Even if they were at their peak combined, they would not win. Looking at the panicked little face before me, I'll be finished soon. What the hell was that sword energy just now? Yu Jiangxin and the 2 others have already left. Hua Qingyuan looked down at Moxuan with disdain, saying that dealing with someone like him? Yu Jiangxin and the 2 others are rushing towards the village with all their might. Did they really just leave Hua Qingyuan behind like that? One slap and he'd be dead, right? Yu Jiangxin bit his... But he believed that since senior brother Hoa left the mountain, every decision senior brother Hoa made was correct. Hua Qingyuan deflecting attacks above the forest. Yu Jiangxin immediately set up the soul-locking heaven-binding array. The next second, the entire village was enveloped by the formation. Hua Qingyuan looked at the village in surprise. Turning around, he said to Moxuan, now you can fight with all your might. Moxuan was clearly extremely angered by Hua Qingyuan's words. He thought that was all of his strength just now. After all, was a man of status. How could he endure such humiliation? The demonic fetus raised its bloody demonic energy. It began to gather towards the spear. The violent demonic energy directly leveled a mountain. Moxuan, a triumphant smile on his face. Hua Qingyuan's figure hovered above the demonic fetus. The bloody demonic energy gathered again. Looking at the blood-red pillar of light connecting to the heavens in the distance, his back was drenched in cold sweat. Is this the power of the demonic soldiers? Crystalline tears rolled down Xiao Yu Jiangxin's cheeks. Hua Qingyuan's playful, bloodthirsty voice reached his ears. He said that his skills only looking good is not enough. He crashed into the crimson light pillar. It made a clicking sound. Watching the light pillar dissipate behind him into nothingness, Moxuan felt like he must be dreaming. Suddenly, Hua Qingyuan's figure appeared again. It's simple because he sealed his own realm. Then Hua Qingyuan fended off Moxuan's attacks. He's always been afraid to cultivate in public. He feared that he might accidentally achieve enlightenment and attract a heavenly tribulation. Besides, as a sect disciple, being too ostentatious is not a good thing. He had to hide his strength. He kept cursing Hua Qingyuan as a madman, but he had not run far. When Hua Qingyuan suddenly appeared behind him, a cold voice then sounded, "You repeatedly disturb my rest and harm my companion." The earth was swallowed by the sword energy. Leaves were blown by the wind, swirling in the air. Figures stood in the air, feet above a deep pit filled with water. The elders, I slack every day. But I also have my own reverse scale. It's everyone's lovely junior sister, Yu Jansen. Absolutely untouchable. For example, this reckless demon sect elder ended up not even leaving a trace, although a Qingyun sealed most of his power, but it remains terrifying. Just the remaining shockwave of Moxuan's sword energy was enough to cleave this world. It formed a sword intent straight several kilometers long. Looking at the horrifyingly large crater in the distance, Yu Jiangxin and the other two momentarily forgot to speak. They asked Yu Jiangxin, "Is Hua Qingyuan really not an elder of our Qingyun Sword Sect?" The power of that strike just now was already comparable to that of a cultivator in the Ascension realm. At this moment, Xiaoyu was still reeling from the shock. He thought to himself, so senior brother Hua's cultivation has already surpassed all the disciples of Qingyun Sword Sect. Thinking this, a blush crept onto his face. Compared to him, what am I, the top disciple, even worth? Suddenly, the sound of shattering porcelain came from below. Yu Jiangxin cried out in alarm. The spiritual energy impact from the previous battle was too powerful. The locking spirit heaven-shaking formation was about to collapse. He sent Zai and the other to evacuate the villagers. He would maintain the formation himself. With his current spiritual energy, he would not be able to hold on for long. He only hoped that Xian and the other would act quickly, save more mortals. Just then, a hand appeared, stabilizing the formation for him. Xiaoyu Jiangxin looked at Hua Qingyuan beside him with strange eyes. Unaware of when they had returned to the village, the formation about to shatter gradually recovered. Hua Qingyuan smiled and told himself, "You junior sister, you can take down the formation now." Yu Jiangxin finally reacted. She joyfully called out her senior brother's name. Afterwards, the four of them accepted the villagers' thanks, but young Yu Jiangxin kept her head down, lost in thought. Finally, her big eyes looked at Hua Qingyuan with a hint of grievance. She asked him, since he was so strong, why had not he told her earlier? Suddenly the style changed. Hua Qingyuan asked innocently, "What was Xiao Yu Jiangxin saying?" Then he explained to his junior sister, he could be so brave, because his master gave him a sword talisman. The three of them listened, and all showed strange expressions. That sword was not released by Yu Shidui. Yu Jiangxin remained somewhat unconvinced. He asked again. Hua Qingyuan put on an expression of deep remorse. He told Jiangxin that he was just a small fry, a mere Lingong realm 6-stage cultivator. He did not have that kind of power. Then he thanked the three of them. If it were not for their desperate resistance, I would not have had time to activate the sword talisman. And besides, one was worn down to his last breath by them. He was directly killed by the sword talisman. He was just lucky. He got a huge windfall. Yu Jiangxin listened. He clearly still does not believe him, but he saw with his own eyes Hua Qingyuan dodging Moxuan's attack. After saying that, Xiao Yu Jiangxin seemed to have grasped some crucial clue. Two little stars twinkled in his big eyes. Even if Hua Qingyuan had a thick skin, he felt a little guilty at this moment. He awkwardly explained that his main studies were escape techniques and body movements, so I'm better at dodging now. Then he brought up his master again. Junior martial sister, you also know that my master, the Hall Master of Gaia Hall, is the #1 escape artist in the sect. After saying that, Yu Jiangxin's questioning once again brought up wanting to stabilize the soul-locking nether array. Such a large array is not something a spirit palace realm cultivator can accomplish, is it? Hua Qingyuan reached into his bosom, taking out a green jade. He told everyone, of course it's with this Qangling jade. The three of them spoke the name in unison. Qangling jade, a type of jade that can store spiritual energy, is expensive to make, and is a single-use item. Therefore it's not popular. He saw that Hua Qingyuan had smoothly answered all his questions, but his sixth sense told him something was still amiss. Seeing Yu Jiangxin still hesitant, a warm hand appeared on his head, gently rubbing. "Do not overthink it. Junior sister, if I were really that powerful, how could the sect master and the venerable master not have noticed? You're the top disciple of my Qingyun Sword Sect. This is unquestionable." His tender face instantly turned red. Xiao Yuangxin quickly turned around. Hua Qingyuan launched another surprise attack. To avoid further dog food, asked Hua Qingyuan where the Crimson Serpent demon weapon was. Thinking about this, Hua Qingyuan sighed. He told it, the demonic energy within that demonic weapon is rampant. It's currently untouchable, but he has already set up an array to suppress it. 4 figures appeared in the air above the ruined forest. A blood-red halberd stood planted in the ground. Yu Jiangxin said that they should inform the sect of the demon sect's plan as soon as possible, allowing the major sects to prepare in advance. As soon as he finished speaking, Hua Qingyuan wanted to take the demonic fetus back to the sect, but suddenly a blood-red shield repelled him. His attracting demonic light circled around the halberd. Demonic light on the halberd made a gurgling sound. Yu Jiangxin urgently told everyone, someone's manipulating the demonic fetus. Meanwhile, a bloody hole materialized above the halberd, gradually swallowing it. The clang of swords echoed through this space. A beam of sword light pierced through the protective barrier, diving into the bloody hole. Zion anxiously told everyone, it must have been a high-level expert from the demon sect who intervened and drew the demonic fetus away. It's a pity that the three of them were depleted of spiritual energy and powerless to stop it. Yu Jiangxin's voice was filled with disappointment. While Qingyun's eyes showed a hint of anger, he did it to prevent his junior martial sister from discovering. He forcibly suppressed his power and failed to leave behind the demonic fetus. However, that sword strike, combined with the sealing formation placed upon it, should be able to prevent the puller from taking the demonic fetus away. In the cave, dim candlelights flickered. The dark red demonic energy was absorbed into the body of an aged figure. As from the first episode, evil cloud ancestor, his soul shattered by Hua Qingyuan, Reforty, and furiously vowed to tear Hua Qingyuan into 10,000 pieces. Suddenly his smile vanished. Greetings, my lord. His voice was deeply respectful. It seems you have successfully refined your physical body. The voice of the barrage echoed through the space. Xian's face obsequious. He said that without the master's help in shaping his physical body, he would not be able to reconstitute his form. Moxted, before his death, he successfully completed the condensing heaven blood refining formation, creating the demonic fetus. However, when I summoned the demonic fetus, blocked by an external force, causing the demonic fetus to fall, Xian was clearly startled by this news. The adult before him is the peak existence in this world. Just who could knock the demonic fetus from his hands? The blood-colored figure informed him that the demonic fetus has now fallen in the Yongsan mountain range of Qingyun Prefecture. He should retrieve it immediately. After saying that he sent him 3 more magical artifacts, he said it was to replace the blood amber bead he lost last time. If he fails again this time, he should know the consequences. Xian and the other person waved goodbye to Hua Qingyuan and the others. Eugene also bid farewell to the two. He told them to be careful on their journey. 2 purple lights streaked across the sky above the forest. I did not expect that the Moyan sect would be plotting to recast the demonic weapons. Feng told Xian that, compared to something far beyond their realm of understanding, he was more concerned about Daoi's friend Hua. After listening, had a look of confusion on her face. She asked what was wrong with Hua Qingyuan. The wind asked him, had not he noticed that the whole incident was under Hua Qingyuan's control? From the moment they left the inn, everything Daoi's Hu instructed them to do, to the antidote pill they took after entering the forest, and the sudden bloody head during the battle. And finally, when they were on the brink of despair, the demon fetus's completion, Daoi's Hu's timely intervention. Which step is missing? I'm afraid they'll all be refined by the condensing heaven blood refining formation. Xian listened, and after some thought realized it was indeed so. Then Feng told him, more than that, remember the antidote pill you took back then? He then checked his body using the inner servant technique. I've discovered a layer of invisible sword energy coiled within their bodies. I'm afraid they did not swallow pills. Instead, they were injected with a strand of sword energy, a sword pill. And the reason they were not poisoned, there's only one. It's that the sword energy contained within this sword pill completely dispersed all the toxins that invaded their bodies. Xian subconsciously refuted after hearing this. How is that even possible? Feng with utmost admiration told him, as long as one achieves the highest level of skill in kendo, theoretically it's possible to do such a thing. Xian scratched his head, saying why Hodao being so powerful would try so hard to hide themselves. Feng was just as puzzled as Xian. Scratching the back of his head, he said it must be because of his prominence, wanted to transform into Qingyun. It's highly likely that it's Qingyun Sword Sect's secret weapon cultivated in secret. Xian questioningly asked them whether they should inform the sect. After saying that, she exchanged a glance with Feng. Then Feng darkly told Xian, since Hua Dao does not wish to reveal his strength, they should not make a fuss. After all, Hua Qingyuan is their lifesaver. We should respect his choice. But Qingyun Sword Sect having such an unparalleled genius makes next month's prodigy gathering truly something to look forward to. Above a certain mountain range, Xiao Jiangxin's excited voice, the message was transmitted into Wen Jian's ear. He turned to Hua Qingyuan and said, Sect Master, tell them to return to the sect immediately. Hua Qingyuan smiled faintly. He said the 2 siblings are both clever. Xiao Jiangxin stared blankly at his senior brother. What clever people, he asked. Nothing. Let's go. Hua Qingyuan finished speaking. He quietly dispersed the sword energy behind him. He thought to himself, if the other sect leader noticed it, that would be troublesome. Suddenly Yu Jiangxin called out his name. His expression serious as he asked if he truly was not hiding his cultivation. Junior sister, why would I lie to you? I'm just a level 6 Lingong realm novice. I cannot compare to a genius like you. Hua Qingyuan. Yu Jiangxin lowered his head slightly. A fierce sword light instantly appeared before Hua Qingyuan. Hua Qingyuan called out to him in disbelief. His voice filled with doubt. Yu Jiangxin did not answer. His pupils constricted. The sword light struck Hua Qingyuan's chest. A pink book tumbled from his bosom. Before Hua Qingyuan could react, Yu Jiangxin snatched it away. Looking at the book in his hand, he let out a hell laugh. Then a photograph caught his eye. It read, me and my junior sister, an unavoidable journey of cultivating immortality. Xiao Yu Jiangxin's small head was completely blown away by what he saw. Hua Qingyuan, seeing his chance, quickly snatched the book and hurriedly explained, this is a very popular book in the mortal world, called Anomaly. At this moment in Xiao Yu Jiangxin's mind, senior brother Hua's excellent work shattered into 1,000 pieces. He said hesitantly, senior brother, I never expected that you would. Hua Qingyuan frantically flipped through the book in his hand. He told Jiangxin, the words on the cover are just to attract attention. Actually, it's a genuine adventure story. It's not what you think. Just finished speaking. Zhangxin's photo appeared again. Xiao Jiangxin quickly turned his head away in fright. Hua Qingyuan explained again from the side, telling him not to misunderstand. This is called an illustration, placed in the middle of the book, to attract readers. This book tells the story of the protagonist within a sect. It's about various things that happened between him and several junior sisters. It's a very orthodox adventure story. It's very popular among both mortals and cultivators. It only updates every 3 months. Then he looked at the illustrations in the book very seriously. He said it was especially like this kind of limited edition with illustrations. You have to queue up all night to get it. Very rare. Wait until he finishes. Xiaoyu softened a little after seeing his new expression and apologized for her earlier behavior, saying she would compensate him with spirit stones. Secretly she thought, that sword strike just now. Senior brother Hua did not dodge or weave, even his clothes were slashed. Could it be that he truly was not hiding his strength, but he still did not forget to pull a Hua Qingyuan? He told him to read less of that kind of book. Those things called novels are forbidden within their Qingyun Sword Sect. In the sectmaster's words, this is called being led astray by frivolous pursuits. Your talent is not weak. You should work harder on your cultivation. Hua Qin managed a weak smile. He said he would certainly follow his junior martial sister's instructions. After speaking, Yu Jiangxing turned and told him to continue on his journey. Seeing this, Hua Qingyuan breathed a sigh of relief. He thought to himself about the just now test. He should have completely dispelled his doubts by now. Suddenly the sound of a sword ringing out came again. It shot straight towards the book in his hand. Instinctively, he swatted away the sword energy with a palm strike. A violent explosion rang out. The mountaintop where he had practiced for 2.5 years was completely flattened. Hua Qingyuan asked him, can you pretend you did not see it? Senior brother, this sword of mine. Even a 7th level purple mansion realm cultivator would not dare catch it with their bare hand, much less deflect it with a palm strike. Yu Jiangxing's calm voice drifted from beside him. After hearing this, Hua Qingyuan did not bother pretending anymore. He awkwardly admitted to hiding a bit of his cultivation. Little Yu Jiangxing swiftly arrived beside him. He asked if his swordsmanship was stronger than his own. It should be a little stronger. Hua Qingyuan answered him. A mischievous look appeared on Yu Jiangxing's small face after hearing this. He said he would keep it a secret for his senior brother. Could he grant him one wish? Hua Qingyuan shrank back in fear. He asked what it was. A small face full of expectation came into view. Senior brother, would you please guide me in my swordsmanship? They are clearly senior and junior siblings, yet their status and treatment are worlds apart. Junior martial sister Yu Jiangxing is known as a heaven-sent prodigy. After more than 20 years of cultivation, she has already reached the 4th level of the Purple Mansion realm. She is deeply favored by the sect elders. Senior brother Hua Qingyuan, however, is acknowledged by the sect as a good-for-nothing. He's not exactly diligent in his practice. He was addicted novels. His cultivation remaining at the lowly Lingong realm, but today the roles were reversed. His talented junior sister, a prodigy, was begging him for swordsmanship guidance. Wazo arrived. Hua Qingyuan's cultivation had already reached the pinnacle of this world. To avoid repeating the mistakes of his past life of overworking himself with 996, and dying suddenly as a result, he sealed his cultivation. He deceived the sect master and all the sect's strong cultivators, but he did not deceive his innocent junior martial sister, Yu Jiangxing. She agreed that as long as he taught her swordsmanship, she would keep his secret. Hua Qingyuan began to recall the process of this mission. He originally intended to use his junior martial sister as a shield. Beidai's 3-day holiday. Now he feels like he's the one who's at a huge loss, but looking at the cute and lively person before him, he still agreed. Hearing this, Yu Jiangxing excitedly told Qingyuan to rest assured that he would absolutely keep his mouth shut. He urged with a smile, asking Hua Qingyuan to hurry back to the sect. A gentle breeze carried fallen leaves into the great hall. Yu Jiangxing greeted the elders and hall masters in the palace with boundless vivacity. He greeted them. The first thing he did upon seeing his beloved treasure was to praise him for his great achievement again. Then he stepped forward and concernedly asked if he was injured. Hua Qingyuan's languid voice sounded, "Greetings, sect master," and to all the elders and hall masters. Hearing this voice, the elders' smiles vanished instantly. Each one's face was incredibly gloomy. They asked him if he had caused Yu Jiangxing any trouble during this mission. If Jiangxing had been injured protecting him, they would definitely make him pay dearly. Hearing this, Hua Qingyuan secretly cursed them for being so double-standard. If it were not for him this time, your most senior disciples have all been refined. Then when Jane spoke, he angrily addressed Elder Zhang. If Qingyuan had not activated the sword talisman in time during this mission, we would not have been able to kill that demon sect elder. Seeing Wen Jian speak up for him, Qin was overjoyed. All that tea I gave him was not wasted after all. The elder snorted coldly, saying the sword talisman was given by Hall Master Gu Yu. He merely activated the sword talisman. Then someone echoed, saying, Hall Master Gu Yu was the greatest contributor this time. Gu listened and looked at them expressionlessly, saying that as Hua Qingyuan was his disciple, giving him a sword talisman for protection was only natural. Hearing Gu respond to them, the elders quickly expressed their surprise at how much his swordsmanship had improved. With just a single sword talisman, he was able to eliminate the demon sect elder wielding the demonic fetus. In my memory of you, I recall the power of the sword talisman he gave Hua Qingyuan, only being that of a purple mansion realm cultivator. He looked at his own disciple with suspicion. Could it be that he gave the wrong sword talisman at that time? Hua Qingyuan also noticed Gu Yu's gaze. He felt a little guilty. He took 2 steps back. Seeing that everyone in the hall had quieted down, when Jian began to discuss the main topic of this meeting, in order to better deal with the demon sect's next actions, he asked Yu Jiangxing to recount the details of the mission. He wanted a detailed account of everything. The cold moonlight fell on Hua Qingyuan. At this moment, he felt an unprecedented sense of relief. He would be free from tomorrow. He had 3 days off and needed to plan carefully. Suddenly, a lively voice interrupted his thoughts. Yu Jiangxing appeared out of nowhere, excitedly telling Hua Qingyuan that as per their previous agreement, he was going to teach him swordsmanship. Hearing this, Hua Qingyuan quickly waved his hands, saying he was busy for the next 2 days, and suggested rest scheduling. Yu Jiangxing replied that He was thrilled to have such a skilled senior brother to guide him. He could not wait any longer. After listening, Hua Qingyuan wanted to coax his junior apprentice sister. He said they were all very tired from this mission. He needed to rest for a while before he had the energy to teach her. The next second, large tears streamed from Xiaoyu Jiangxin's eyes. His acting was top-notch. He looked pitifully helpless. He's been fighting alone all night. He did not even complain of being tired. Why are you even shouting now? Hua Qingyuan could not help but speak up at this point. What nonsense. Zibada the most work, okay? The small expression on his face instantly disappeared. His small hand grabbed Hua Qingyuan's clothes tightly, hurriedly telling him, if he did not hand over his swordsmanship tonight, he would reveal their relationship. Hua Qingyuan was terrified after hearing this. He begged Yu Jiangxin not to talk nonsense, but little Yu Jiangxin still refused to let go. Grasping his collar tightly, he called him a liar who went back on his word. Finally, he heard Hua Qingyuan's promise echoing in his ears. He told Yu Jiangxin to come to his manor tonight, to give him some guidance in swordsmanship, but he warned him not to bother him again before he had achieved enlightenment. Young Yu Jiangxin immediately agreed. Then Hua Qingyuan continued, remember to avoid being seen. If anyone sees you come into my house, I'll be chopped up by my crazy fellow disciples and elders tomorrow, and hung from the eaves. No problem, senior brother. See then? His voice was full of anticipation. The cold moonlight completely replaced the warm sun. A slender simultaneously appeared before Hua Qingyuan. At this moment, Hua Qingyuan's expression was extremely serious. Junior sister, you're here. His words caused Xiaoyu Jiangxin to pause slightly. She thought to herself, could it be that senior brother is this heartbroken about teaching me swordsmanship? Just as she was lost in thought, Hua Qingyuan's serious voice came again. Just now, I learned something very important. Xiaoyu Jiangxin looked at his senior brother with suspicion. He asked him what was wrong. Mike's new book is to be released the day after tomorrow. Having said that, Hua Qingyuan paced anxiously. He began to curse the Mo sect's lineage. It's all because that Mo sect destroyed Qingsu City, the original release event. I was forced to change it to Yongsan City, thousands of miles away. Hua Qingyuan then realized he had been a little out of line just now. He coughed twice. He said he had to leave for Yongsan City tomorrow. Therefore the swordsmanship guidance. Tonight he would only teach once. Immediately afterwards, Hua Qingyuan told Xiaoyu Jiangxin to attack him with all his might. After Yu Jiangxin somewhat anxiously told Hua Qingyuan that if he used his full strength, senior brother's house would probably. Hua Qingyuan gently beckoned him after hearing this, indicating he wanted to destroy his own house. He did not have that ability yet. His anxious expression disappeared, replaced by a small face filled with fighting spirit. Okay, senior brother, be careful. The painting is in my hand, raising the long sword above my head. Sword energy and spiritual power intertwine on the blade. Qingyun nine heavens. A blue sword wave instantly illuminates the entire mountain range. Hua Qingyuan looks ahead with a serious expression. Fine? He says. He merely lifted an arm. The moment the sword energy touched his palm, Yu Jiangxin's full-powered strike shattered in two, transforming into several streams of light that shot straight into the sky. His exquisitely beautiful face was filled with shock. His pride shattered along with the dissipation of that attack. He knelt before Hua Qingyuan. He uttered those three words with difficulty. Hua Qingyuan saw this defeat. He informed his junior martial sister Yu Jiangxin that everything in the world is imperfect, swordsmanship included. He only found a flaw in his opponent's swordsmanship and destroyed it with overwhelming force. As long as he continuously patches up the flaws in his own swordsmanship, when cultivation reaches its peak, even holding grass and trees, one can sever the sun, moon, and stars. This sentence code continuously inked Xiaoyu Jiangxin's mind. He had joined the Qingyun Sword Sect for over 20 years, diligently cultivating his swordsmanship and comprehending the way of the sword. He had become the chief disciple. But a realm like severing sun, moon, stars like a blade of grass, he would not dare even imagine it. Suddenly, Hua Qingyuan's voice pulled him back to reality. Watch carefully, junior sister. Hua Lu kicked off a tile and soared high into the air. The moment he landed, Hua Qingyuan's two fingers danced wildly in the air like swords. The sword marks on this stone tablet, carefully studied, are enough to take your swordsmanship to the next level. Having said that, the stone tablet flew towards Yu Jiangxin. His small hands trembled slightly as he reached out to the sides of the stone tablet. What met his eyes was a character for sword, written in elegant, flowing script. Hua Qingyuan brought his finger to his mouth. Tell Xiaoyu, the sword heart must never be shown to anyone else. It was a sweet voice. A slender figure appeared in the air in an instant. Thank you, senior brother, for your guidance. I'll go back and contemplate it now. Watching the receding figure, Hua Qingyuan scratched his head. Are you going to practice all night? Junior sister, you're working so hard. Take care of yourself. The night passed silently. The morning sun streamed through the window into the room. Neatly stacked pink books lay together. Time to set off for Yongsan City. Suddenly, Hua Qingyuan looked out the window strangely. A blue streak of light flashed past his manor. Master, are you going out again today? Yu Yu, who was swiftly flying through the air, immediately turned grim-faced. Fellow Taoist, you've been following me for a while now. Are not you tired? His indifferent voice echoed through the space. A boisterous laugh rang out ahead. A blood-red figure materialized out of thin air. I was curious. Is Grandmaster Gu speed as fast as the rumors say? But it seemed not so much. Seeing this person, Yu showed a look of terror. The sect master of the Demon Cloud sect? Followed closely. He asked. How did Xiangba know he would be here? Who knows? Perhaps someone told me. Xiangba's teasing voice reached Gyuyu's ears. Hearing this, Gyuyu's expression did not change. He wanted to continue questioning him, asking about his informants planted in the Qingyun sword. What are you planning? Sanbai hearing this, told Gyu with a playful expression. His goal had never changed. Why would he need to stall for time? Ever since he discovered him, he'd been secretly accumulating the sword array. Now that sword array should be almost fully charged, so it seems the sect master is very confident. With those words, his transcendent realm cultivation fully erupted. Transcendent realm cultivation. The surrounding space began to tear apart inch by inch. The next second, countless sword lights simultaneously attacked Xiangba. Seeing the Sangba laughed arrogantly, he compressed the dark red demonic energy on his fist. You've spent half a day setting up this sword formation. Can it withstand a single punch from me? Hua Qingyuan, who had just arrived in Yongsan City, intended to check the location of the novel launch event, suddenly felt a sharp jolt in his heart. He sensed that the sword energy gifted to protect his master had been triggered. His expression involuntarily turned frantic. My master is at the first level of the Ascension realm, plus he mainly cultivates shield techniques. Opponents who could put his life in danger would at least be experts at the fourth level of the Ascension realm. The lush forest is now in ruins. Gyu is covered in blood. He's lifted into the air. This is your life-saving treasure. Sangba looked curiously at the jade pendant in his hand. The protective sword energy inside actually blocked my punch for you. Not bad. Gyu looked at the jade pendant in front of him with a grim expression. He remembered how Qingyuan had given him this as a token of gratitude for his usual care, a small token of his appreciation. Flashback ends. Sangbai compresses the crimson demonic energy again. This time he will absolutely not fail again. A short while, mysterious characters appeared on Hua Qingyuan's chest. This should be enough to unleash these powers. He finished, then brought his two fingers together, holding them before his chest. Invisible ripples spread out in waves. Hua Qingyuan silently recited, the jade pendant's location is... Immediately Xangbi's phantom appeared in his mind. The jade pendant's location was found. Qingyun sword technique dawned. Terrifying beam of spiritual energy tore through space, instantly appearing above Sangbei's head. The dust settled. The figure in the alley was in a sorry state. His right fist was gone. He pressed his left hand tightly against the wound. He picked up the scraps of cloth on the ground. His face was contorted with pain. Gyu suddenly sprang up. Next time we meet, I'll kill you. Who would have thought? The top-tier master manipulator who could obliterate immortals with a single palm strike is now completely at the beck and call of a little girl. He's even become her henchman. Just now, in order to find his master's location, Hua Qingyuan reluctantly broke the seal. Just strike almost killed the demon sect master, who was at the initial stage of the Transcendence realm, level 4. On this, looking at the large crater on the ground, he was quite surprised. That strike just now was enough to obliterate a Transcendence realm level 4 expert. Now it seems the opponent's cultivation is even higher than I imagined, but he could not understand why a top expert from the demon sect would assassinate a master who is only at the first level of ascension. Now that master has successfully escaped, he plans to buy some novels before returning to the sect to visit. It's just that the number of people is a bit beyond Hua Qingyuan's expectation, but in order to buy the novels, he had been queuing since noon until dusk. Finally he reached the front just as the last book became available. Under the envious gazes of everyone behind him, Hua Qingyuan slowly reached for the book. Suddenly a fair hand appeared before him. Also reaching for the book, the girl had a pretty face. Her bright red lips added a touch of mature charm. At this moment, two hands clutched the book tightly. Neither will let go. Handsome senior brother. Could you let me have the last one? The girl's tone was soft and charming. Unfortunately, she chose the wrong person today. Hua Qingyuan did not even think. He decisively and said he was willing to pay double the price, asking the girl how. Hearing this, the girl instantly felt insulted. She looked at Hua Qingyuan with disdain, telling him to forget it. She said she did not need that little money. Then the two of them looked towards the shopkeeper. They say the book chose itself. It looked like a fight was about to break out, but the shopkeeper said they should talk things over calmly. Do not fight. Those words seemed to awaken the girl. She looked at Hua Qingyuan with challenging eyes, saying neither of them wanted to give up. Why not settle it fairly then? Then jade chips appeared one by one in the girl's palm. She told Hua Qingyuan that they would play rock, paper, scissors. These were special artifacts he had commissioned Shenji Gate to refine. They had the effect of shielding spiritual sense perception. Using these artifacts to play rock, paper, scissors would ensure absolute fairness. After listening, Hua Qingyuan tested them with his spiritual sense. It was just as the girl said. Waiting for him to receive the spiritual energy, the girl proposed a best of 3. Hua Qingyuan agreed to her. With the countdown ending, the jade piece was slammed onto the table. Afraid Hua Qingyuan did not fully believe her, the girl asked the shopkeeper to help lift the jade piece. As the wang piece was lifted, the girl's expression was one of immense joy. She excitedly bounced in front of Hua Qingyuan, proclaiming her victory. However, Hua Qingyuan did not find any problem with this round of rock, paper, scissors. He could only attribute it to bad luck on his part. Hua Qingyuan quickly spoke, saying he would turn the cards this time. See, a complete and utter loss? Who would have thought that the girl, the moment she received the book, would show a mischievous look? She chuckled and said her luck was really good. As for Hu, he was still immersed in his losing streak, unaware of the girl's unusual behavior. The dim sunlight cast a lonely shadow over him. He thought, since I'm already here, I might as well have a look around, and this look around lasted until evening. Hua Qingyuan bought some new tea seeds to cultivate at home. Suddenly he heard a familiar voice. The girl was surrounded by 2 men in an alley. They accused her of cheating. How could anyone win over 20 rounds of rock, paper, scissors in a row? The girl had just told them both that she was blessed by fate. The next line is everlasting green waters. Seen him try to run. The man no longer held back. His purple mansion triple cultivation exploded, transforming into a giant golden hand that grabbed at the girl. Suddenly a flicker of joy crossed the girl's eyes. She turned and shouted brother to the two behind her. The two men were startled by her sudden call. The girl looked at Hua King. She called out, Brother Yun, come quickly and help him. The two men asked who Hua Qingyuan was. At this moment Hua Qingyuan's face was ashen. Only then did he learn that he had been used, and the girl even had the nerve to call him brother. Fellow Taoists, I'm just a bystander. I do not know him well. You continue. I will not disturb you. Seeing Hua Qingyuan distance himself from him, the girl immediately batted her eyelashes and said, Brother, you're so heartless. Could he have forgotten their first encounter? The two men realized from their conversation that Hua Qingyuan was also a victim. Only then did they learn that the girl was a habitual offender. They made him hand over what she had swindled. Hua Qingyuan was overjoyed at the scene before him. He planned to reap the benefits. He seized the opportunity to retrieve his comic book. Who would have thought that the girl would remain unmoved by Hua King's advances? She gritted her teeth and pulled out a book. She said that if he did not help her, she would tear the book. The smile disappeared from her face. Hua King looked at the girl in alarm. By this time, the two men had already lost patience with the girl. They said that since she would not accept their kindness, she should not blame them for what happened next. A giant golden claw instantly attacked the girl. Just as it was about to touch her, a blue sword light descended. Hua Qingyuan appeared beside the girl with a complex expression. One was shocked by his strength, while the other asked him why he intervened. Hua Qingyuan awkwardly explained to them both that circumstances had changed. Please forgive me, fellow cultivators. He then looked at the girl. He asked her to give him the book. Ripples spread from the girl's eyes. Thank you, Knave 1. Hua Qingyuan's hand went straight through the girl's body. He missed. The terrifying pressure caused the surrounding space to crackle. A figure like a thunderbolt shot straight into the sky. Two men watched the spot where Hua Qingyuan had stood. They exclaimed, wondering which sex cultivator it was. Their aura was so terrifying. When they reacted, they remembered their treasure was still in that girl's hands. Above the outskirts of Yongsan City, a woman's figure suddenly. A look of smug satisfaction crossed his face. Thanks to his usually diligent cultivation, suddenly a gust of wind swept past him. Hua Qingyuan's furious figure appeared before him. You dare to deceive me? The voice like thunder exploded in the girl's ears. Two beams of spiritual energy struck his chest. Only after I reacted did I realize my spiritual power had been sealed by Hua Qingyuan. Immediately afterward, Hua Qingyuan hugged me and said I was amazing. Which sect are you from? After saying that, he gave a sinister smile and left. Come with me to see Yun, the city lord Xinqing. He actually came out to swindle and deceive. Following the immortal sect's disciplinary methods, your spiritual power will be sealed, and you will be demoted to commoner status, cleaning pippins for 7 days. For female cultivator, this punishment's destructive power is undoubtedly comparable to a small nuclear bomb. The scene before them shocked the two men who had rushed over. How long has it been? They're already doing princess carries. The girl cursed Hua Qingyuan for not being gentle. She said he'll definitely be a bachelor for life. She told him to quickly unseal it. After 2 studs asterisk, a spirit stone also flew in the girl's hand. Hua Qingyuan told her to just consider it a gift from him. However, he was very curious how the girl cheated at rock, paper, scissors. Hearing this, the girl coldly snorted and said she had not cheated. Hearing this, even the two bystanders became curious. Then the girl explained shyly that she had only used a little bit of illusion magic. Unlike the bystanders who still accused the girl of cheating, Hua Qingyuan was very curious. What kind of illusion was the girl using? She even managed to deceive him. A jade piece representing a fist appeared in the girl's hand, but after a single rotation it transformed into scissors. No one present could discern the mystery behind it, yet Hua Qingyuan remained puzzled. In the second round, he was clearly the one who flipped the card first. It's impossible for me to change his cards, right? The girl giggled and told him, I merely modified his perception. The patterns he sees will change. Perception modification is an extremely advanced technique in illusion. This ability involves the law of causality. It's a conceptual power. Only did everyone realize that the girl's identity was probably not simple. They questioned who she really was. The girl stopped pretending. She let out a light humph. Once in Heavenly Palace, you king with pure white hair. The bystanders looked at their senior brothers questioningly, inquiring about the Huangs in Heavenly Palace and what kind of power it is. An ancient sect renowned for its illusionary arts, they have long been isolated from the world. Although they have not joined the alliance, their strength is not to be underestimated. Senior brother explains to him. The two bowed to Yu Qingwu under the moonlight. I'm Wei, a true disciple of Yongsan sect. This is my junior brother, Miss Bai. I never expected you to be a disciple of the Huans in Heavenly Palace. Regarding the treasure you took earlier, my junior brother and I will not ask for it back. Under Yugu's astonished gaze, Mian stated his purpose. He wanted to invite Yu Qingwu. Let's go to Yunsan Mountain Range together to search for treasure. If we encounter danger, Yu Qingwu's skills will be incredibly useful. Yu Qingwu subconsciously blurted out. Regarding the treasure, Mo Yun told me a few days ago that, deep within the Yunsan Mountain Range, a red glow and spiritual energy filled the air. It's highly likely to be a rare treasure. Hua Qingyuan heard this. His eyes widened slightly. He thought of the demonic fetus. Both the time and color match. Hopefully I'm overthinking it. Hua Qingyuan held his forehead. He sighed. After hearing Mo Yun's words, Yu Qingwu happily agreed to him. Brother Ha, what do you think? Thinking of Hua Qingyuan's terrifying strength, Mo Yun intended to invite him. Hua Qingyuan quickly waved his hands, saying he was not interested. He thought it's finally time for a vacation. What kind of jungle exploration is this? Without waiting for anyone to try and stop him, he transformed into a blue streak of light. After he left, A faint light flickered in Yu Qingyuan's eyes. She reassured the two, saying that Hua Qingyuan would definitely come back to find them. In a certain mountain forest, a blood-red halberd stood upright on the ground. An aged voice sounded at the same time. The demonic fetus has been found. He's supposedly a max-level boss in people's mouths, yet he sealed his cultivation to the measly level of a 6th-rank spiritual palace realm cultivator. Not long ago, for a 3-day holiday, he went to sponge off his junior martial sister. Unexpectedly, he did not get to experience his vacation. Instead, he was asked for it 3 times by a little girl. While Qingyun was still in the inn, enjoying a comic book, when he contentedly turned to the last page, about to learn the identity of the culprit. He was asked for it again. This thought flashed through Hua Qingyuan's mind. Terrifying aura nearly crushed the entire inn. An indescribably fast blue light streaked by. Target Yunsan Mountain Range. Meanwhile, in the Yunsan Mountain Range, Yu Qingyu used her illusionary techniques, coordinating with Mu Yun and his brother, quickly killing a purple mansion realm 3rd stage demonic beast. Since learning that Yu Qingyu was from the illusory Moon Immortal Palace, he immediately became a devoted follower. They praised his incredibly powerful illusionary magic, and Yu Qingyu fell for it completely. She did not realize that they had already been targeted by the demon sect elders. The demonic fetus ritual only needs one final step. The 3 of them are perfect. Cyan feared that if the blood was not cleaned up properly, someone might escape. He pulled a silver bell from his bosom. An extremely sinister aura emanated from the bell. Watching the black figure appear in the air, Cyan ordered him to capture Yu Qingyu and the other 2, while he himself remained behind, to erase the seal left by Hua Qingyuan. He needed time. The dark shadow transformed into a streak of light, and dashed towards Yu Qingyu and the others. At this time, Yu Qingyu was walking along. I felt a chill down my spine. I felt like I was being watched, but he clearly sensed wrong. He warned them that something was approaching. Before they could react, the white man collapsed, mouth bleeding. Mu Yun just knelt down to check his injuries. When he heard Yu Qingyuan's warning, a black figure whizzed past him. Mu Yun fainted immediately afterwards. Only Yu Qingyu remained. She stood there trembling. Just as her fear reached its peak, the black figure appeared. Yu Qingyu still could not see clearly what exactly the attacker was. Then, along with Mu Yun and the other, he fell into darkness. Shortly after, a figure in a blue robe appeared in the place where Yu Qingyu and the others had been. Hua Qingyuan was very puzzled. He clearly sensed the lingering spiritual energy of the void cultivator here. How could they have disappeared so suddenly? There were no signs of a battle either. Suddenly, Hua Qingyuan sensed something. Terrifying spiritual sense instantly enveloped the entire forest. Something seemed to be hidden in the wind. It appeared behind him at an incredible speed, intending to knock him unconscious using the same method. Just as the black figure was about to touch him, Hua Qingyuan's tightly closed eyes suddenly snapped open. A terrifying spiritual sense directly pinned the dark shadow in midair. Who are you? What do you want? His voice icy and piercing. The words fell. The black energy dissipated. A delicately crafted little doll of a child. He trembled uncontrollably. Clearly he was frightened by Hua Qingyuan's tone just now. Seeing the child did not answer him, Hua Qingyuan bent and asked. He could not speak. The little child nodded vigorously in response. Seeing Hua Qingyuan, again questioned the 3 cultivators who had just been here. Were they defeated by him? Were they still alive? The little child nodded again. Following this, Hua Qingyuan pretended to look very fierce. Suddenly a bell rang from deep within the woods. The baby's face instantly contorted in pain. Its body uncontrollably flew towards the source of the bell's ringing. Hua Qingyuan thought of something, a soul-controlling bell. He had heard his master say that this object could seal a creature's soul within it. It was an evil object made with a vicious curse. At this thought, a cold killing intent flashed in Hua Qingyuan's eyes. It was the people of the demon sect again. 3 figures are connected to the demonic fetus. Xian shakes the bell. Muttering curses, he seemed to be standing on a small body. Is that guy really so hard to deal with? You are the divine beast Xuanyin. Could it be that you're trying to escape? Cyan's foot does not ease its pressure despite the cursing. The opposing force grew stronger. Saxuan's delicate cheeks were wet with tears. He was shaking his head desperately. Seeing this, Xian slightly lessened his grip. He warned Say, if he dared escape, there were 100 ways to make his life a living hell. Then he asked about Hua Qingyuan's location. He planned to catch it himself. Suddenly a voice drifted from behind him. No need for you to do it, Ancestor. It was Xian. Ancestor? You can even rebuild your physical body? There must be someone powerful helping you, right? Hua Qingyuan's voice held a hint of disdain. Xian suddenly felt a surge of anger. It was you who spoke. The blood-red skull solidified and attacked Hua Qingyuan. Hua Qingyuan lightly flicked his finger. The blood-red skull instantly shattered. He looked at Xian with a playful expression. You're still so weak. Extreme anger caused Xian's veins to bulge on his face, but he was completely helpless against Hua Qingyuan. He could only roar at Xiaoxuanyin beside him, ordering him to deal with Hua Qingyuan. Before Xiaoxuanyin could act, a sword light tore through the void, instantly severing the arm holding the bell. Xian collapsed to the ground in agony, letting out a piercing scream. Meanwhile, the sound of shattering metal rang out. You would not have to be their puppet anymore. You are free. Hua Qingyuan looked at Xiaoxuanyin with heart attack. Tears streamed down his face without ceasing. Xiaoxuanyin instinctively wanted to fly towards Hua Qingyuan. Suddenly, Xian stood up and called out to him. A flash of red light passed by. Blood gushed from Xian's mouth. Xiaoxuanyin threw herself into Hua Qingyuan's arms. Tears streamed down her face. His reflection was mirrored in her clear, large eyes. Hua Qingyuan softly comforted Xuanying because he knew all too well the experience of being exploited and oppressed. He understood. Kavian rose it. He hammered the ground with his remaining arm. The words Blood Abyss Prison Summoning Formation fell. Viscous blood-red energy rapidly surged into the air. Countless eyes emerged from it. A large bluish-gray hand began to emerge from within. Who dare summon this king? As the voice They pleaded with this demon king to kill Hua Qingyuan. He sensed the fluctuation in Hua Qingyuan's cultivation. The sixth-ranked demon king scornfully told Yun that he, the king, must personally make a move, but his fist still smashed toward Hua Qingyuan. The next second, a blue pillar of light shot into the sky. At this moment, Hua Qingyuan's long sword was already drawn. A loud voice came from the opposite side, saying that he was sealed by this world. I can only exert 1/5 of my strength. One day I will personally descend to this world and fight him. Just as he was about to say his name, his form was completely shattered by the blue sword energy. Amidst the flying fragments, Hua Qingyuan's expression was indifferent. Sion's mouth was wide open. Hua Qingyuan was forced to unseal his cultivation. In his full glory, he resembled a god descending to earth. Even if Sion raises his cultivation to the immortal ascension realm, he's still like an ant. Just now, Hua Qingyuan looked down at Yun. Terrifying spiritual power gathered at his fingertips, visible as faint and indistinct thunder. Seen the scene. Sion wanted to speak, make Hua Qingyuan stop, but he had just opened his mouth when a terrifying beam of spiritual energy completely engulfed. But real men never watch explosions. After dealing with Sion, Hua Qingyuan looked at the three people on the ground and released the seals within their bodies. Yukong woke up first. In a daze, she did not immediately recognize Hua Qingyuan. She even asked who he was. It's alright. I just had too much spiritual power drained. You'll wake up after resting for a while. I'll take you back to the city first. Hua Qingyuan finished speaking and was about to act when a surge of demonic energy erupted behind him. The demonic fetus begins to leave the ground. Finally, it burrows into the thick smoke. The next second, the smoke and dust dissipate. Sion holds a demonic fetus's halberd. Behind a demonic cloud surge, it's as if a demon god has descended. He was so... Hua Qingyuan could have killed him. It's a good thing he was quick. He activated his magic treasure just in time. Now it's you who's gonna die? Sion's arrogant laughter reached their ears. Hua Qingyuan looked at Sion with disdain, wondering what mess he'd gotten himself into again. Though he did not know what was going on, one sword was not enough, then another sword. With these words, a powerful sword energy surged towards the evil cloud once more. But this time, the evil cloud merely waved its hand gently, and the demonic fetus blocked his attack, mocking Hua Qingyuan. It said, I'm far stronger than you now. A blood-red ghost face suddenly materialized, attacking everyone. Seeing Hua Qingyuan push three people aside with one hand, he extended his hand towards the bloody ghost face. Feeling the force transmitted from the sword, Hua Qingyuan exclaimed it was unscientific. Sion was at the Purple Mansion's 7th realm just now, but now he's ascended to the Transcendence realm's 2nd stage. Thinking Hua Qingyuan, he looked at the red gemstone embedded in Sion's brow, asking if it was the ancient treasure, the Tangshan jade, Kairan. Praising Hua Qingyuan for being a worthy disciple of a renowned sect, for being able to recognize this treasure. Ancient texts record that, tens of millions of years ago, someone picked up this heavenly jade. After activating it with spiritual power, their cultivation surged. They became a powerful being, dominating a region. But none of these overlords could live past 5 years, because while their cultivation skyrocketed, their lifespan was also burning furiously. Hua Qingyuan told Yun, all things in heaven and earth abide by the laws of the Tao. I have attained a transcendent state and superhuman regenerative abilities, but is it without cost? Look at yourself. Do not be blinded by appearances. Look at your aged face in the mirror. A trembling voice emerged from Sion's mouth. It's impossible. I should have at least 800 years of life left. How could I be like this? After saying that, he smashed the mirror into pieces. Hua Qingyuan, witnessing this scene, felt immense disgust, even secretly applied a beauty filter to Xi Yun. At this moment, Xi Yun, due to the immense blow, had fallen into a state of madness. He said that as long as he completed this mission, that great person would surely bestow upon him a pill to restore his lifespan. At that time, as long as he uses the heaven-reaching jade properly, he will be able to transcend this world. Looking at Xi Yun, who had completely lost his mind, Hua Qingyuan's long sword had already vanished. He thought, can the heaven-reaching jade even pua its host? But Xi Yun, as if he had truly obtained some information, smeared his blood on the surface of the heaven-reaching jade. The terrifying power of time erupted from his body. A bloody tornado strikes Hua Qingyuan. Hua Qingyuan simultaneously displays a sword-drawing technique. What's shocking is, he actually did not block the evil cloud's attack. The oppressive aura emanating from the evil cloud is already that of a 5th-level Transcendence Realm cultivator. Hua Qingyuan cannot remember the last time he was injured. He pulls open his collar. He looks at the talisman on his chest. Just then, Xi Yun was attacked. Seeing his attack was ineffective, Xiao Yun trembled with fear. Xi Yun, already resentful of his betrayal, went for the kill. Fortunately, Hua Qingyuan arrived in time to block the fatal blow. Little one, did not I tell you to leave? In the brief pause of his speech, Xi Yun's attack struck again. Hua Qingyuan still tried to break the seal, but found it was too late. Mirror flower water moon. With the sound's resonance, Hua Qingyuan's body dissipated like water. Xi Yun, witnessing this scene, noticed Yukingwu casting a spell. He called her a bitch. He swung the demonic fetus to strike her. A giant blue pillar of light blocked Xi Yun's attack. Yukingwu looked upwards in shock. Hua Qingyuan, at this moment, his black hair danced in the air. The seal on his chest has been broken. His pupils and hair are turning blue. The mysterious markings envelop his body. He looks like a god descending to earth. Meanwhile, the delirious Saiyun remains lost in his fantasy of invincibility. He charges straight at Hua Qingyuan. He says he has a chance and does not run. He actually came back to die. Only after interacting with Hua Qingyuan did he realize something was wrong. His full-powered strike was blocked by just 2 fingers. Fear was not limited to Saiyun. Qingyu fell too. If Hua Qingyuan's temper were slightly worse, his grave should be starting to grow grass by now. Hua Qingyuan's eyes were indifferent. He said this amount of spiritual power is enough to deal with him. As for, he still could not figure out his current situation. He only felt that Hua Qingyuan was mocking him. He raised the demonic fetus in his hand. He wanted to launch another attack. This time Hua Qingyuan would not give him another chance. He coldly snorted. He told that from the moment he broke the seal, he had already lost. The sword of blue and gold, 2 spiritual energies swirling. As he grasped the hilt, a giant golden dragon materialized behind him. The Qingyun sword is your dragon's power. Under the golden light, Xian's face showed despair. His demonic form was blown away. His body began to shatter. Finally, it turned into countless small pieces, becoming nourishment for this world. Hua Qingyuan expressionlessly put on his robe. Qingyu below him noticed his cultivation had reverted to the 6th level of the Ling Palace realm. But quickly, Qingyu was captivated by the towering jade in front of her. She suddenly thought it was beautiful. She wanted to touch it to possess it. Just then, Hua Qingyuan appeared behind him. He said it was best not to touch it. He preemptively put the Tongshan jade into his storage pouch. Qingyu, reacting, realized he had just been beguiled by a stone. Hua Qingyuan replied that the thing was very evil. He warned him to be careful lest he be drained of his lifespan like Saiyun old ancestor. Suddenly little Xuanyin came to their side. Qingyu froze for a second. Then her voice filled with anger. She pointed at Xiao Xuanyin. She said it was this little thing that ambushed them. Seeing Hua Qingyuan, shielded Xiao Xuanyin. As he explained, Xiao Xuanyin also tried its best to apologize to Qingyu. After receiving Qingyu's forgiveness, Hua Qingyuan told Xiao Xuanyin that he was safe now. He could leave with peace of mind. Be careful. Do not get caught by bad guys again. Understand? Qingyu showed a sympathetic expression. She said that Xiao Xuanyin was so powerful, Hua Qingyuan could actually have kept him. What's the difference between me and those people from the demon sect? Hua Qingyuan retorted. Hearing this, Qingyu was stunned for a moment. Blushing, she told Hua Qingyuan, if it were anyone else, they might keep the soul-controlling spirit and Xiao Xuanyin as weapons by their side. It seems I misjudged him before. Who would have thought that? Hua Qingyuan's expression changed upon hearing this, saying that since I misjudged him, then the page he tore off can be returned to its owner. Qingyu secretly cursed under her breath. Coolest fellow. I was engrossed in the novel, but I still returned the last page of the novel to him. Hua Qingyuan was delighted with a single sheet of paper. Xiao Xuanyin was quite puzzled. He put away the page. Hua Qingyuan, thank you Qingyu for your valiant assistance just now. I hope you would not spread the word about today's events and the great merit of killing the demon sect elder. Consider it repayment for everything. Qingyu could not even think of a reason to refute. She could only ask how to deal with this demonic fetus. I'll take this back. I'll hand it over to the sect for disposal. Hua Qingyuan finished answering, then pointed to the Yongsan sect disciple who was still lying there. Please take care of them for me, Miss Yu. Qingyu realized after hearing this that Hua Qingyuan was trying to escape. She said that she was not their nanny. Hua Qingyuan pretended not to hear. He reached for the demonic fetus nearby. Suddenly a large hand formed from stars, reached out from the void and grabbed the demonic fetus. You cannot take that halberd. The sound was like thunder. He sensed the aura of a transcendent realm cultivator from the other party. Hua Qingyuan did not stop him. He did not expect that before leaving, the other party would actually say his name, and that he would remember him. The large hand disappeared. Space returned to normal. Qingyu crossed her arms. I was trembling all over. I asked Hua Qingyuan what that was just now. The oppressive feeling was so terrifying. It should be some elder from the demon sect. Hua Qingyuan answered. Qingyu asked him somewhat anxiously. That weapon must be very important. Why did not we chase after them? Hua Qingyuan gave 3 reasons. First, the opponent's strength is unknown. Second, retrieving the demonic fetus is not his task. Of course, the above 2 points are unimportant. Third, it's his vacation time now. He thought to himself, hurrying back to see the novel's ending. You girl will meet again if fate allows. With those words, his figure, then turning into a streak of light, he flew towards Yongsan City. Qingyu spat in the direction where Hua Qingyuan had left, making it sound. Who said I wanted to see you again? Suddenly Xuan leaped past him, chasing after Hua Qingyuan in the direction he had gone. Only he remained standing there. Her face flushed slightly. She thought he's incredibly skilled, and his character seems good, and his appearance. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. Why was she thinking about him? She did not want to see him. Her voice was angry yet tinged with shyness. The 3 centuries ultimately could not resist the temptation of the little Lalita. Moyun and his brothers were gently awakened. They learned that they had been saved by Qingyu and Hua Qingyuan. To keep Hua Qingyuan's secret, Qingyu changed the cause of evil cloud ancestor's death to death from exhaustion of lifespan. Moyun saw that Hua Qingyuan had already left. It's a great pity. I did not even get a chance to thank him. At this moment, someone behind him told him, is not Xianzhou Grand Assembly about to begin? With Hua Qingyuan's strength, he will surely represent his sect in the Grand Assembly. It's not too late to thank him in person then. Hearing about the Tianzhou Grand Assembly, Qingyu became interested. She asked them what it was. Moyun scratched his head sheepishly. Qingyu Huang's Heavenly Palace is isolated from the world. It's no wonder she does not know about this, because most of the forces in the east have joined the Xianzong Alliance. Therefore every 10 years, Each major sect sent 5 of their most talented disciples to compete and determine the rankings. It's commonly known as the Prodigy Gathering, and the rankings of the Prodigy Gathering will determine the sect's rankings, affecting the distribution of resources afterward. Yu King listened curiously, wondering if she could also participate in this Prodigy Gathering with the strength and reputation of Huangxin Heavenly Palace. It should be possible, right? Miu was not very sure, but at the thought of seeing Hua Qingyuan again, that bad guy in his eyes, Yu King decided to return for a trip. At this moment, Hua Qingyuan was rushing with all his might, wondering who had just taken the demonic fetus. Judging by his breath, unless he himself unseals it by 1/3, he's no match for him. Thinking about the current demon sect's rampant activity, even his master fell into an ambush. If he had snatched back the demonic fetus at that time, it would have inevitably brought a greater crisis to the sect. He's still counting on it. He's enjoying his retirement at Qingyun Sword Sect, but he cannot get involved in something that will bring trouble. Suddenly Hua Qingyuan questioned, wondering how Xiao Xuanyin had followed him. Xiao Xuanyin showed no sign of stopping, directly leaping in his arms. From Hua Qingyuan's expression, he understood Xiao Xuanyin's thoughts. I asked if he had nowhere to go. He wanted to follow me. Xiao Xuan nodded vigorously, tears streaming down his face. Immediately afterwards, Hua Qingyuan's voice entered his ears. He said he could take him in, but if you want to leave in the future, you do not need to tell me. You can leave any time. Hearing this, Xiao Xuanyin immediately hugged his face. He sobbed to express his gratitude. Hua Qingyuan gently comforted the little darling in his arms. He never expected that he, a mere worker, would actually pick up a divine beast on his way home. Then he told Xuanyin that thankfully to others he was just a gust of wind. That saved me a lot of trouble. So I'll find a way to help him solve his speech problem in the future. From now, Qingyun Sword Sect is your home? At the Yuexin residence in Qingyun Sword Sect, Wen Jin asked Yuexin Sanzi, how are Gyu's injuries? He has multiple fractured bones. His Danshan and 5 internal organs are all damaged. With such injuries, if he had returned even half an hour later, even a god descending to earth would not be able to save him. Wen Jin listened and mentally prepared himself for the worst. He asked how he was doing now. Yuexin Sanzi told him not to worry. I have already used the Huishin Zahua Dan to save Gyu's life. At this moment, Wen Jin is like a furious lion. A terrifying spiritual pressure causes the surrounding space to emit muffled booms. Immortal Sect Alliance Secret Realm, Yu Realm. Wen Jin intends to seek justice for Gyu here. Zixuan Dao Ren, the 4th stage Ascension Realm Master of the Purple Spirit Sect. Wen Jin has gathered everyone here to discuss something. Wen Jin repeated. Recently the Demon Sect has been active within the Qingyun Sword Sect's territory. Everything they've done, especially Elder Moxuan of the Moyan Sect, cultivating the demonic fetus of the Chilean demon weapon, you all should know what this means. He dispatched Hall Master Gyu to send the Blood Soul Pearl to the Alliance, but he was ambushed by a cultivator from the Demon Sect. His blood-breaking pearl was stolen, and he suffered severe injuries. His foundation was damaged. Dai Sixuan's face showed shock after hearing this. He'd seen Hall Master Gyu before, although he was only at the first level of the Immortal Ascension realm. He was proficient in escape techniques. How could he have suffered such severe injuries? At this time, someone spoke calmly, saying that there must be an inside informant within the Alliance. The Taixu Sect's Grandmaster with his cultivation, at the 9th level of the Ascension realm. Then he continued, saying from today onwards, I request all Sect Grandmasters to carefully investigate the situation of their disciples who remain within the Alliance. Prevent anyone from secretly colluding with the Demon Sect, and quickly search for clues about the person who ambushed Grandmaster Gu. You must thoroughly cleanse the Demon Sect's strongholds in the states under your jurisdiction. Completely. Once a Demon Sect cultivator is discovered, immediately notify the Alliance to encircle and destroy them. Grandmaster Wen, are you satisfied with these arrangements? Wen Jin listened. He performs a cupping fist salute. He says that if all sects can put this matter into practice, they will naturally be able to accept it. Speaking of the Demon Sect cultivators, Yungxin Sect Master Yungxin Xuan, a Transcendence Realm 4th stage cultivator, just a few hours ago, a message was sent by his sect's true disciple, saying they were in the Yunxin mountain range. I encountered the evil cloud ancestor, an elder of the Demon Cloud sect. My spiritual energy was drained, my life hung by a thread. However, the evil cloud ancestor exhausted his own lifespan due to using the ancient treasure, the heaven-reaching jade. In the end, he was killed by disciples of the Illusory Heart Heavenly Palace, and a cultivator named Hua Qingyuan working together. Hua Qingyuan and Wen Jin were shocked upon hearing this. I thought that guy was on leave. Why is he there? Yin Sinexuan looked puzzled and asked Grandmaster Wen, do you know this cultivator? Wen Jin did not hide anything. He recounted Hua Qingyuan's general situation. He thought Hua Qingyuan should only be assisting the Huan Sinchen Gong disciple. Take myself and inquire carefully again. This is another great elder who spoke, saying that since the Demon Sect's activities have been frequent recently, in order to prevent the impending danger, he thinks that the upcoming Qianjiao Grand Assembly could use some changes to the rules to encourage the growth of disciples from various sects. I wonder what the various sect masters think. Suxing, the sect master of Changxing sect, has reached the 8th level of the Transcendence realm. The words had just fallen when a sect master immediately expressed doubt, saying that since the establishment of the Immortal Sect Alliance, the rules of the Tianjiao Sacred Gathering had only been modified 3 times at the very beginning. Now they are changing the rules at the last minute. That's not appropriate, is it? Immediately golden light gathered in Suxing's palm. He said it was to encourage his disciples. As a host of this event, he naturally would not be stingy. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone present showed a look of surprise. At this moment, Suxing, a golden key floats above his palm. It's said to be the prize for the top performer at this Qianjiao Grand Assembly. Inside a court, the door Hua Qingyuan holds something in one hand. He asks his master how their recovery is going. I've come to see you. Gyu tells him, I'm completely fine now. I just need a rest for 10 days. Hua Qingyuan listened and fiddled with the things he brought. He said these were spirit tea leaves he carefully cultivated, brewed with high-quality spirit spring water. It's a cup of spirit tea that restores spiritual power and nourishes the meridians. He respectfully handed it to Gyu. Master, please have some tea. Gyu's body trembled slightly. He said, excellent tea. Then his expression changed. If he had spent the time he used tending these flowers and plants on cultivation, he would not just be at the 6th level of the Spirit Palace realm now. You must know that among the true disciples, his cultivation is already at the bottom. Listening to Gyu's nagging, Hua Qingyuan gritted his teeth. His cultivation aura emanated from his body, from his very body. Master, look. I've already reached the 8th level of the Ling Palace realm. Hearing this, he showed a delighted expression. He became stern again, saying it's been 5 years since his last breakthrough. Look at his junior martial sister. How long has he been cultivating? Now he has already entered the Purple Mansion realm. I'll keep Master's teachings in mind. From now on I will cultivate diligently. Gyu said he should stop flattering himself. Then he sighed and said, forget it. It's all the same old stuff. He knew Hua Qingyuan would not want to hear him go on. He's thoughtful at least. Hua Qingyuan seemed to sense something. Turning around, he tried to leave. Please rest well, Master. Then I'll take my leave. Gyu did not give him a chance. He called out to him. He was injured by the sect master Shangbei of the Demon Cloud sect. He almost died. At that time, the jade pendant he had given as a gift at his own birthday banquet blocked the fatal attack for him. Then a sudden sword light appeared. It wounded. That's how I escaped. Qingyun, tell me the truth. Are you hiding something from your master? For example, are you actually hiding your cultivation level? Or have you sealed your spiritual power or something like that? Hua Qingyuan turned around, his expression changing. He said that if he were hiding his cultivation level, can we keep it from him and the sect master? Gyu looked at him for a moment after hearing this, then he sighed softly. He said it was himself, but he watched him enter the sect. This kind of deception. I doubt he's capable of it. But what about that jade pendant? Gyu wondered. Hua Qingyuan brazenly explained. This jade pendant was obtained by me in the secret realm. I sense an extraordinary aura from it. It must be a precious item. Taking advantage of Master's birthday, I present it to you. Gyu smiled, bowing his head slightly. He said, my luck is truly exceptional. I stumbled upon a treasure. If it were not for him this time, I would not be alive today. Hua Qingyuan, hearing this, scratched his head and said, Master, you flatter me. Suddenly Gyu called out to him. Hua Qingyuan had just turned his head when a gust of wind hit him in the face. Gyu suddenly struck out with his palm. The terrifying air current caused the houses to shake slightly. He inwardly thought, why do people these days all like to use this tactic? Gyu retracted his palm and chuckled, saying, Hua Qingyuan, though he's broken through to the 8th level of the Spirit Palace, still has some shortcomings in his reaction. Hua Qingyuan's expression remained unchanged. Hua Qingyuan's small book fell in front of Gyu. Gyu looked puzzled. He asked Hua Qingyuan what it was. Seeing this, Hua Qingyuan blushed. He quickly snatched the book away. He said it was just some small pastime of his. Unexpectedly, Gyu did not ask further. Instead, he waved his hand and said he could go back. Everything should prioritize cultivation. It's best to read less of these Confucian classics. Hua Qingyuan was very surprised. He thought to himself that he was not scolded. Seeing that Hua Qingyuan still was not leaving, Gyu coldly snorted, hurry up and leave, until Hua Qingyuan finally left. Gyu turned around and flipped open his pillow. He picked up a book identical to Hua Qingyuan's. He said he did not expect Qingyun to have such good taste, that he would actually read his book, and it was even a limited edition signed copy. Could it be that when he took his vacation to Hoexin City, he went just to buy this book? Thinking about this, Gyu's face flushed. He thought it best to keep this from Qingyun. The biggest purveyor of scandalous Yangtze novels was his own most revered master, and he, devoted fan, remained completely unaware. With the Tianjiu gathering about to begin, when Jian informed the hall masters and elders that after a vote by the 10 sect masters, the rule prohibiting fatal injuries has been lifted, all cultivators must sign a life or death agreement before battle. If casualties, their respective sects may not be angry about it. The disciples who can participate in the Tianjiu Grand Assembly are all the geniuses of their sects. If anything unexpected happens, would not that be a tremendous loss? When Jan and the others have considered this point, but now the activities of the demon sect are becoming increasingly frequent. To deal with potential future crises, the younger generation of disciples must undergo training and grow as quickly as possible. After listening to Wen Jan's words, Dong Jing, the hall master of Langson Hall, expressed his agreement. You also said the same. Once a crisis, a calm, sharp judgment, and decisive execution, factors beyond these realms, can greatly affect a cultivator's life or death. Seeing that everyone had no objections, Wen Jin also spoke. The real reason for this rule change is Extinction Sect the host. For first place, they prepared the final key to Emperor Yuchen's tomb. Everyone gasped upon hearing this. 5 million years ago, after the Qingyuan realm's #1 Emperor Yuchen passed away, he left behind countless supreme cultivation techniques. Lantong was so excited that he stood up. He said that 4 key fragments had been discovered so far. He never expected that the final, most crucial piece was actually in the hands of Xingqian Sect. Wen Jian was also incredibly excited after hearing this news. As long as their Qingyun Sword Sect wins first place in this grand gathering, they will have a chance to enter the heavenly tomb and get a share of the spoils. Therefore, he ordered the sect competition to begin a week later, to allow the disciples to adapt to the rules of the Tianjiao Grand Assembly in advance. This sect competition is different from previous ones, except for demonic and heretical techniques. Anything that can enhance combat power can be used. The top 5 competitors will not only receive generous rewards, but also lead the sect to participate in this year's Tianjiao Grand Assembly. The news spread. All the disciples rushed to the 100 Treasures Pavilion to buy supplies. Only one person seemed out of place. Hua Qingyuan leaned against the foot of a tree at this moment, a smile playing on his lips. He thought to himself, thankfully he had stocked up on blood essence a long time ago. Suddenly a figure appeared behind him. Hua Qingyuan awkwardly looked at Qingyuan. Ask him why he's still here. I'm not going to pay. As the words about pills, talismans, and strategies fell, Qingyuan confidently declared. With a sword technique he taught him, what need is there for other methods? Hua Qingyuan shouted, telling him there's a world beyond the world. One must not become complacent and lose in battle due to carelessness. However, as soon as he finished speaking, Qingyuan told him some explosive news. In this grand competition, the top 3 disciples of the inner sect can challenge the true disciples. If successful, they can take their place and become the new true disciples. The next second, excited voices rang out. Hua Qingyuan asked if what he said was true. Qingyuan replied absolutely true. He heard that many inner sect disciples were already lining up to challenge senior brother Hua. Hearing this, a golden light flickered in Hua Qingyuan's eyes. If he pretended to be defeated in the grand competition, would not he be able to logically shed his status as a true disciple, return to being an inner disciple? Then, the 9-to-5 life will only get easier and easier. However, this scene in Qingyuan's eyes became a display of Hua Qingyuan's confidence. He thought to himself that those who underestimated senior brother Hua would sooner or later pay the price. At this time, the communication stone at his waist lit up. Gyu's voice came from inside. Tell Hua Qingyuan to find him at Lian Hall. A moment later, Hua Qingyuan smiled and asked his master what he wanted. Gyu did not answer immediately. He let him do it first. Then he would tell him. There's a strict rule for him regarding this sect's grand competition. Hearing this, Hua Qingyuan wondered what the rule was. It's not something that will make things difficult for you. We just hope that you can achieve a top 20 ranking in this sect's competition. Gyu's light and calm voice fell into Hua Qingyuan's ears like a thunderclap. He immediately rejected Gyu, saying it was absolutely impossible. In a split second, Gyu's expression drastically changed. He said that there are 55 true disciples in Qingyun Sword Sect. As long as Hua Qingyuan gets serious, entering the top 20 would be a breeze. After hearing this, Hua Qingyuan was not affected at all. Instead, with an innocent look, he told Gyu that he truly has the ability. How could he possibly still be at the bottom? Gyu sensed that Hua Qingyuan still intended to hide his identity. Gyu directly asked him point blank. He reminded Hua Qingyuan why he had taken him as a disciple. The sword energy Hua Qingyuan had displayed on the broadcast platform that day. He still remembered it clearly. The swordsmanship it contained was in no way inferior to that of any true disciple. After hearing this, Hua Qingyuan muttered a curse under his breath. I should not have done that in the first place. I did not expect that 10% of its power would cause such incredible destruction, but he still did not want to give up this opportunity. That sword strike was purely accidental. I absolutely cannot replicate it now. Gyu did not respond. His gloomy face. Does he intend to refuse his master? Matters have come to this. No one can shake his resolve to become an inner disciple again. Master, I truly cannot. Hua Qingyuan responded. Suddenly, Gyu slammed a pink book onto the table. He loudly asked, can he really not do it? Looking at the pink book, Hua Qingyuan's face flushed slightly. He said, Master, this is... Before he could finish, Gyu had already thrown the book to him. Let him read it. Hua Qingyuan thought to himself. My master actually reads this kind of thing in secret, but when he saw the author's name on the book cover, his whole face showed suspicion as he looked at his master. Master Yu, you wrote this book. Gyu first gave a tactical cough. Then he pulled out a stack of papers from his bosom. He told Hua Qingyuan, this is the unreleased manuscript of Volume 12. However, Hua Qingyuan was still in shock. The author of his favorite novel was actually right beside him, still the closest. Master then noticed something. He looked at Gyu with slight hesitation. Master, you told me about this. Could it be that you want the book to fly back to Gyu's hand? If you do not make it into the top 20, I'll kill off the female lead, the little junior sister, in my next book. Gyu told me. These words were spoken. Hua Qingyuan could no longer sit still. His favorite character was his junior apprentice sister. He immediately stood up and came before Gyu. How could he so rashly decide the character's fate? Gyu remained unmoved. Instead, with a cold expression, he told Hua Qingyuan that he would also have the protagonist's senior sister marry someone else. Hua Qingyuan internally instantly felt a 10,000-point critical hit. That was his second favorite character. Not so cruel. But just after saying that, Hua Qingyuan thought of something. Telling you, would not he be afraid of Gyu finding out about his novel writing? Tell the sect master. However, Gyu remained incredibly calm. He said, then let the protagonist's childhood sweetheart be killed right in front of him. Upon hearing this, Hua Qingyuan finally broke down. Seeing Gyu seized the opportunity and threw out the bait. He said that as long as he gets into the top 20, not only will he be kind to his favorite character, but he'll also get to see the unpublished manuscript drafts. Plus, he'll get several collector's edition books and illustrations. With this combination of incentives, Hua Qingyuan was completely won over. He told his master with a hint of anger. Sadi. After going out, Hua Qingyuan angrily told Kushan that the master was looking for him. Then under Kushan's puzzled gaze, he left Lion Hall. Inside the room, Gyu chuckled and said that compared to his master, he was still a little green. After laughing, he told Kushan, this time I called him here to have him inform senior sister Yu Jiangxin, who's in seclusion, about the sect's grand competition. Then he sighed helplessly, saying that child seems to be engrossed in cultivation again, and forgot to check the message Jade Talisman, Qingyun Sword Sect Jinjin Peak. Kuchin. He called out Yu Jangson's name at the front door. Seeing no response, Kushin thought that his senior sister Yu must be in seclusion. However, before he could step forward to knock, the door was blown open by a surge of spiritual energy. Ku subconsciously thought something was wrong with Yu Jiangson. He immediately rushed into the courtyard. His expression changed. He saw a stone tablet inscribed with the character for sword, floating quietly in midair. His voice trembling, he said, such strong sword intent. He had not noticed at all that a figure had appeared behind him. He saw the voice. It felt like he would be pierced by the long sword the next second. Sushin trembled and turned his head. He said he was sent by Gu Yu and the hall master. He was specially invited senior sister Yu to attend the sect's grand ceremony. At these words, Xiao Yu's expression instantly changed. Happily, she said, so your senior brother Ho's junior brother. Then she told Kuchin with utmost gentleness. He did not see anything just now. Raixu Chani has never seen such a scene. He scrambled out of the mansion, saying he saw nothing. At this moment, Xiao Yu Jangson's expression was superior. He thought to himself that he was too focused on his sword practice. He did not even know anyone had come in. Then a smile curled his lips. Senior brother Hu is truly amazing. These past few days, he feels his understanding of the sword Dao has deepened further. If he were to fight the Blood Fiend under Mokuxuan's command now, he could definitely defeat it within 3 strikes. In these last few days, he wants to further comprehend this sword mark. Then he will definitely. Senior brother Ho has a newfound respect. Hua Qingyuan's old feelings have not faded yet. He said that hateful master dared to threaten him. Then he fell into thought. Using swordsmanship is too easy to expose himself. If he uses these props and treasures to win, even if he wins, he will not be promoted. With these things, a little design work is all it takes, and winning a common battle will be a breeze. Having thought this, Hua Qingyuan was attracted by the equipment dropped by the evil cloud ancestor. Tong Xianyi also noticed Hua Qingyuan's gaze. A red glow immediately emanated from its body. Immediately emanated, he said as long as she touches it, he can give Hua Qingyuan everything she wants. Come on, come on. Hua Qingyuan listened to his voice, her expression gradually becoming agitated. The next second the heavenly jade was violently slammed onto the ground. The heavenly jade was silent for a moment, then unbelievably flew in front of Hua Qingyuan. To think he can resist his own temptation? Hua Qingyuan looked at him with an amused expression upon hearing this. He said with his level of temptation, it's not even as good as a pop-up ad. Then he asked what exactly he was. Suddenly demonic energy surged around Tongshan Yu. I am Tongshan, the great demon of the demon realm. He was clearly the discarded, good-for-nothing senior brother. Floor tiles he could give away casually, yet are treasured by the favored disciple's junior sister. The little fanboy he casually pointed out has transformed overnight in a genius disciple in the sect elder's eyes. This incredibly impressive man is now looked down upon by a broken stone. Just now, Hua Qingyuan scoffed upon hearing the name of Tong Qianyu. He said he'd never heard of him. Tong Qianyu, furious, told Hua Qingyuan that he had arrived in this world with the demon lord. After the demon lord left, he remained. In terms of all the cultivators in Qingyun realm must address him as sir. Oh, so I'm just a pawn. Hua Qingyuan's words seemed to pierce Tong Qianyu's heart, breaking his defenses completely. He said to Hua Qingyuan, dare you infuse your spiritual energy and say it to my face? Hua Qingyuan did not respond, but asked him instead, is there a secret treasure space inside the sky-reaching jade? Boy, you afraid to come in? The moment he finished speaking about the sky-reaching jade, Hua Qingyuan's finger already touched its surface. He said, what am I afraid of? Hua Qingyuan arrived in a void made of stars. The voice of the sky-reaching jade also rang out in his ear at the same time, transforming into a large purple face. He actually dared to come in. Suddenly a large blue hand grabbed him. Hua Qingyuan told him, so what if I came in? Having lived this long, who is not a respectable person, even though sweat poured down his back, Tongshan still remained defiant. He said unless he could master the laws of the Tao, he would not be able to harm himself in the slightest. Before the words faded, Tongshan pupils suddenly widened. Only Hua Qingyuan was surrounded by spiritual energy at this moment, telling Tongshan that it was quite unfortunate regarding the laws of the Tao. He happened to have a little understanding. Leaves rustled in the gentle breeze, making a whispering sound. Hua Qingyuan reappeared in the courtyard, a smile playing on his lips. He said he had not expected such an unexpected gain this time. Just now, he and Tong Shanyu had become sworn brothers. Tong Shan even volunteered, share all his treasures with him. Put away the good brother, Hua Qingyuan yawned. He said there were still 2 days until the sect's grand event. Let's get a good rest now. However, in a certain cave, a man wearing the attire of Qingyun Sword Sect knelt before a mirror. The reflection in the mirror asked him, what are the chances of success in this sect's grand competition? The man replied, with the treasure the master bestowed, entering the top 5 should be no problem. The reflection responded, excellent. I must say it was thanks to her intelligence that you were able to recover the blood soul pearl. The man, upon hearing this, overwhelmed with emotion. If it were not for your help back then, he would not be alive today. I'm willing to go through fire and water for you. A shadowy said that when he obtains a spot in the Tianjiao Grand Assembly, he would take him away from the Qingyun Sword Sect. The man's eyes were resolute. He claims he will accomplish his mission, no matter the cost. He will definitely complete his mission. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. When Jin stood on the high platform, he said this grand competition was not only a test of your years of cultivation, but also to select the strongest disciples of his Qingyun Sword Sect. The strongest people, unlike previous, talisman elixirs, spiritual treasures, or even formations and other unorthodox methods can be used in the battle. All you need to do is defeat your opponent and achieve a higher ranking, but no matter who it is, you must absolutely not intentionally harm your fellow disciples. This applies to all hall masters and elders. Everyone will be watching the battle in the arena to prevent any disciples from being injured. When Jin finished speaking, with a sweep of his hand, blue starlight flickered in the air, finally transforming into jade talismans that flew into the crowd. Sin Wei Ran looked at the jade talisman in his hand, slightly shocked. This shows he'll be the first in the G arena. The competition will begin soon. Countless sword lights appeared on the stage. Light on the stage. Until dusk, Hua Qingyuan returned to the competition arena. It was just in time for the last match of the inner disciples. Yang Tai from Yulingtang faces Sin Weiren from Fang Lingtang. Sin Weiren is currently holding his sword in one hand. His robes flutter gently. Hua Qingyuan watches that figure, smiling with satisfaction. Not bad, he said. Weiren Jr. brother, to actually make it to the final round. Meanwhile, Sin Weiren has already had his first encounter with Yang Tai. Yang Tai's cultivation is at the 5th level of the Ling Palace realm. Sin Weiren is a level above, although a higher realm usually crushes a lower one. But junior brother Weiren's swordsmanship is exquisite, comparable to that of a true disciple. He has clearly grasped a hint of sword intent. I only simply taught Sin Weiren a few moves. Your swordsmanship shows considerable understanding. You've progressed to this point. Your talent is definitely high. You perform well. It's highly likely that Hall Master Feng Chanliang will accept you as a direct disciple. Hua Qingyuan finished thinking. The competition on stage was also nearing its end. Yang Tai's expression was relaxed and composed. Let's end our probing junior brother Xin. Let's settle this with one decisive move. Conversely, Xin Weiren gasped heavily. Saying he felt the same. Immediately, a blue talisman appeared out of thin air before Yang Tai's chest, emitting wisps of lightning like spiritual energy. The audience and disciples gasped. Soul-gathering combustion talisman. It can burn one's spiritual power and consciousness for a short time, triggering the strongest explosive power. Senior brother Yang is actually willing to use this 4th-grade spirit talisman. Plus. Meanwhile, Sin Weiren also took out a pill and swallowed it. Although the explosive Q pill is only a 3-word grade pill, but in terms of effectiveness, it's a perfect substitute for the giant soul combustion talisman. Seeing Sin Weiren, whose aura was surging just like his own, Yang Tai's expression remained calm. Junior brother, be careful. Sin Weiren remained silent, gathering all his spiritual energy into his sword. In an instant, 2 streams of spiritual energy intertwined on the field. Hua Qingyuan, seeing this, said calmly, the victor is decided. As the words fell, a violent explosion rang out. The resulting shockwave dispersed the smoke and dust. Sin Weiren, holding his sword in one hand, propped himself up on the ground, admitting defeat, while Yang Tai, although still standing, but the blood flowing from the corner of his mouth spoke volumes. He told Sin, if they were of equal skill, he would be the one to lose. Sin Weiren, hearing this, looked up at him. Asking was true. His mind, however, drifted to Hua Qingyuan. If it were not for senior brother Hua's guidance, he would never have achieved this level of understanding of the sword path. Even if he spent his entire life. When Jin watched the two, secretly admiring them as promising disciples, he told the fair Yuexin beside him, saying that both of them were qualified to become inner disciples. Thank you for your trouble. Red spiritual energy was seen swirling around his fingers. Yuexin Sanzi responded that this was his duty. The next second on stage, Sin Weiren's Inj were healing at visible speed. The spiritual energy was also doing so. Just then, a referee from the side spoke up, inquiring about Yan. As the top-ranked inner disciple, which true disciple did he wish to challenge? Yan Tai spoke up, saying he wanted to challenge Hua Qingyuan of the Flowing Cloud Hall, and regarding his choice, all disciples were well aware. Hua Qingyuan, the true disciple, ranked last. Who does not know? The current top inner disciple is battling a true disciple. There's a good show to watch at the end. Hua Qingyuan also arrived at the competition stage at this time. He said it's his turn so soon. Yan Tai, out of courtesy, bowed to him and said, Senior brother Hua, please give me your guidance. But as soon as he finished speaking, Sin Weiren from behind suddenly grabbed his shoulder, telling him to take care. Seeing this, Yang Tai felt very puzzled. Hua Qingyuan naturally understood the meaning behind Sin Weiren's words. He was the neglected, useless senior brother, but he had a junior sister who loved him. Today, not only did she draw her sword for him in front of everyone, but she also directly declared their Taoist partner status. Listening to the curses around him, Yu Jiangxin's face darkened. Without hesitation, he delivered a blow. He delivered a blow without hesitation. In front of everyone, he made the disciple apologize to his senior brother. Seeing Hua Qingyuan secretly felt things were going badly. Do not go out of your way for this. The disciple Yu Jiangxin pointed at explained that he was merely commenting on Hua Qingyuan's fighting style. Hearing this, young Yu Jiangxin was furious. He said that calling that a comment was clearly belittling him. Although Qingyun Sword Sect cultivates the sword, but before you refine your swordsmanship, you must first cultivate your mind. Senior brother Hua, though he did not draw his sword in battle, his strategic thinking and understanding and application of the rules and tools far surpass all of you. In contrast, you all lack the necessary skill, were defeated early, yet are extremely resentful of others' successes. With such a mindset, what right do you have to judge others? These words, but the disciples who had just mocked Hua Qingyuan hung their heads in shame. The other disciples also realized this. Hua Qingyuan indeed did not use swordsmanship, but he could fight beyond the boundaries. The battle results are not fake. If it's because of your own petty jealousy, and you're jealous of your fellow disciples, that's truly despicable. Listening to the whispers around him, the disciple's face flushed crimson. He closed his eyes and loudly apologized to Hua Qingyuan. He regretted his previous spiteful remarks. Is it intentional? Please do not mind a junior brother. It's alright, I do not mind. Hua Qingyuan finished speaking. Utterly embarrassed. He thought, junior sister, what are you doing? The situation in the square also fell into the eyes of the elders. Yu Jiangxin, even though his strength far surpasses others, remains humble and unassuming. First he guided Lang Sinyu's cultivation with his own swordsmanship, and then he stood up for his unjustly accused disciple. This kind of mentality is the supreme sword heart that only a peerless sword immortal can possess. Meanwhile, the swordsman walked on air. He told his disciples, from now on, whoever dares to betray others again, do not blame me for being impolite. As disciples of the Qingyun Sword Sect, you should cultivate your hearts, constantly hone your swordsmanship, and comprehend the way of the sword, instead of wasting your time betraying others. Why do not you cultivate diligently? After saying this, he flew towards Hua Qingyuan in front of everyone. He said he would stay here. Senior brother should not mind, right? How could Hukin refuse? He said that if his junior sister wanted to stay, he had no objection. The male disciples who witnessed this scene. I feel like I'm going to die from exhaustion. Hua Qingyuan used voice transmission to ask Xiao Yu Jiangxin, what's going on? Xiao Yu Jiangxin's face showed a clever expression. He told Hua Qingyuan, this way, no one will dare to speak ill of him behind his back anymore. Hearing this, Hua Qingyuan was speechless. Who said you were doing unnecessary things? The thing he hates most is attracting attention. His fist, tell Hall that he owes his current state and strength entirely that stone slab. Although, senior brother, you are indifferent to fame and fortune, and do not care about your reputation, but you've been kind to me. I cannot allow others to casually slander and defame you. Looking at those incredibly serious little eyes, Hua Qingyuan's expression flickered. He said, then why are you staying beside me? Go back to your original position. He thought, I should have never given you guidance in the first place. The words, tinged with a hint of pleading, reached her ears. Xiao Jiangxin's cheeks flushed slightly. She used voice transmission to tell Hua Qingyuan. She was actually a little confused, and wanted to take this opportunity to ask her, I'm not your master, you know. Hua Qingyuan replied. Hearing this, Xiao Yu Jiangxin's face showed a mischievous. Tell Hall, if you do not want to teach him, he cannot guarantee what he'll do. How the other brothers and sisters will feel then, will be none of his concern. At these words, Hua Qingyuan was immediately subdued, saying, you're ruthless. Any problems? Ask quickly and then go back. While the two were flirting, Luke's gaze never left them. She thought for Hua Qingyuan, junior sister Yu actually scolded the other direct disciples. Could they secretly be a couple? Junior sister Yu, as the top disciple, is in love with the bottom-ranked Hua Qingyuan. To avoid, I can only meet you secretly this way, because I was too excited. Luke spoke out loud. It was over by Kuyen behind her. Kuyen leaned into her ear and said, after a closer look, their relationship is indeed unusual. They were actually secretly communicating. I never would have guessed. This is truly shocking news. Luxia finished, her face reddening as she looked at Kuyen. She told him he absolutely must not spread it around. If senior sister Yu and senior brother Hua found out, she would inevitably be scolded by the sect. Kuyen said upon hearing this, of course, I will believe him. My senior sister's the most tight-lipped. Something big is going to happen in 1 minute. I heard this from another junior sister. You absolutely cannot tell anyone else. On the other hand, Xiao Yu Jiangxin, the protagonist of the story, sat cross-legged, a faint smile playing on his lips. Hua Qingyuan beside him felt a pang of emotion. Truly a cultivation fanatic. This ability to enter a cultivation state, anytime, anywhere, is truly admirable. Time flies. Hua Qingyuan looked at the clock in his hand, thinking to himself, that's enough for today. Off work, the bright moon hung high. Inside the grand hall of the sect master, an elder knelt before Wen Jian and said, after his investigation, he found 5 people with suspicious behavior. Among them, the most suspicious are these 3 from Liu Yun Hall. They are Zhao Rui from Jiandu and Hua Qingyuan. Second elder, do you mean? The traitor is among us in Liu Yun Hall. Yu's voice is filled with anger. The high-ranking officials of Qingyun Sword Sect have gathered here tonight to find the traitor hidden within the Qingyun Sword Sect. When Gyu was attacked, it confirmed that within the sect, there were already disciples who had defected to the demon sect. The sudden convening of the sect's grand competition was not only to select. I still want to use this opportunity to identify the traitor among my disciples. When Jane said, Master Gu, please calm down. The possibility of a traitor within his flowing cloud hall is very high. After all, he did not tell anyone else about his mission to escort the blood soul orb. He kept it a secret. Upon leaving, he also took sufficient precautions to remain undetected. Even so, this matter was still exposed to the demon sect. Do not you find it strange? Seeing that Gyu did not speak, when Jane let the second elder continue, the 3 of them all within a year suddenly saw a great increase in their strength. 2 years ago, his cultivation was only at the 2nd level of the Purple Mansion realm, and Guan Shani, the 2nd-ranked disciple, their cultivation levels are quite close. First, there's Jiang Duke, the top disciple of the Flowing Cloud Hall. A year ago, during the sect's grand competition, he unexpectedly rose to prominence. He defeated strong opponents one after another, and ranked 3rd on the Qianjiao list. According to him, it was a fortunate encounter. I received guidance from a master. My progress in harmony creation has been rapid. Secondly, there's Zhao Rui, a disciple of the Flowing Cloud Hall. He's a solitary person. His cultivation is average. A year ago, he was only ranked 3rd on the Qianjiao list, but in this sect's grand competition, his cultivation has actually skyrocketed to the 5th level of the Purple Mansion realm. He's even on par with Yu Jiangxin. Besides that, the sword techniques he's comprehended are also incredibly formidable. Extremely strange, even possessing the ability to kill. According to him, he also mistakenly entered a secret realm. I've got to leave. Finally, there's Hua Qingyuan from Lion Hall. He seems to be the least suspicious, but in my he has many secrets. From what I understand, since he was promoted to true disciple a year ago, he's become lazy. He barely cultivates at all, and his time spent on missions never exceeds 2 days. In such a short time, how did he obtain a master such exquisite knowledge of talismans and formations? Besides that, he also discovered recently his presence has been noted in the interactions between Qingyun Sword Sect and the Demon Sect. His shadow appears in both places. He was the one who eliminated the disciples of the Moyan sect and retrieved the blood soul peril. According to the disciples present at the time, there was also a Zifu realm Demon Sect elder, the evil cloud ancestor present, but after Hua Qingyuan encountered him, the elder mysteriously disappeared. Later he went out on a mission with Yu Jiangxin. They encountered Mokshuan, a demon sect elder in Yunjin village. He was creating demonic fetuses, even saved 2 true disciples of the Zhiling sect. Afterwards he was given a 3-day leave by sect master Yun. However, it's unknown why Yun went to Yunxing City. I'm sure you've all noticed Hua Qingyuan. He used talismans and formations they had never seen before, his own strategies and skill, consecutively defeating 2 powerful opponents. This disciple is definitely not as idle as he appears. He may even be hiding his true strength. In conclusion, among these disciples, Hua Qingyuan is the most likely suspect. Before the words finished, 2 voices spoke simultaneously, saying Hua Qingyuan could not be a traitor. This scene stunned even the second elder. He thought to himself, how could the sect master and the Gu Hall master suddenly be so in sync? At that moment, Lantong spoke, is not it possible? Perhaps, the Hua Qingyuan that the sect master and elder Gu knew was possessed or controlled by the demon sect. Gu questioned Lantong's meaning upon hearing this. Lantong showed no fear when faced with Gu Yu's questioning. He said that Hua Qingyuan might have been possessed by a demon sect cultivator during a trip outside. That's why all these subsequent events happened. After hearing his word, Gu still did not yield. He told Lan that he was more inclined to believe Hua Qingyuan was a hidden grandmaster who had sealed his cultivation, and if he had been rescued by the devil sect cultivators, then why did he bring the blood pond pearl back to the sect in the first place? And why did he kill the devil sect elder in Yunjin village? Your speculations and judgments about him are completely illogical. Suddenly Lodong spoke, saying, let's simply arrest all the suspicious disciples and interrogate them thoroughly. When Jian, upon hearing this, immediately rejected his suggestion, saying that acting rashly, it might scare them off. What they need to investigate is the devil sect spies within the sect. What is their ultimate goal? It's definitely more than just being informants. He has a feeling the devil sect wants to disrupt him. This grand competition of Qingyun Sword Sect. 2 elders were puzzled. They asked Wen Jian what he meant. Wen Jian told everyone to secretly adjust the lottery. Since the demon sect has planted a spy within the sect, we can use this opportunity to test him. Whether it's Jiangdu Hua Qingyuan or Zhao Rui, we'll arrange a battle for them. He wants to see what the demon sect's plan is. Meanwhile, on the other side, Hua Qingyuan looked at Xiao Xuanyin questioningly. Do you want me to take you to fight with me tomorrow? Xuanyin, upon hearing this, nodded vigorously, his face full of anticipation. Hua Qingyuan, after listening, his face held a hint of apology. He said he knew little Xuanyin had been bored lately, but the sect's grand competition would not allow him to participate. After saying this, he ruffled his little head. He told little Xuanyin to wait till he himself conceded defeat tomorrow. Then he would take him out to play. Little Xuanyin listened, puffing out her cheeks. Lingting let out a sound, then suddenly noticed something. She pulled Hua Qingyuan and rushed outside. They quickly arrived at a grove of trees. Hua Qingyuan was puzzled, asking why she had come to the back mountain of Lion Peak. Exwajin Riz, he pointed to the pile of grass below. A wild wind. The fallen leaves were blown away. Hua Qingyuan's face showed surprise. How could there be an array flag here? From his observation, this array flag was of extremely high grade. It seemed to be used to shield spiritual senses, form a close-off space. Although he could destroy the restrictions, this would undoubtedly alert the enemy. He should not have gotten involved in these messy affairs. If the sky falls, the sect master will hold it up. But from the arrangement of these flags, one can see that the sect's grand formation now seems to have been affected by similar flags. Completely covered. What if Qingyun Sword Sect encounters a life-or-death crisis? Thinking of this, Hua Qingyuan, his expression turned serious. Then how could his peaceful 9-to-5 life continue? The domineering nature in his son's words. However, Hua Qingyuan, who was called Little Selfish Face, but he's a hidden powerhouse, while his fellow disciples were still struggling to break through to the Purple Mansion realm. He could already single-handedly obliterate Ascension realm demonic cultivators. Even a casually discarded floor tile could allow his junior martial sister, the chief disciple, to comprehend the supreme. Seeing such an awesome him, his wish, however, was very simple. He just wanted to live a 9-to-5 life in this immortal cultivation world. But someone wanted to disrupt his peaceful little life. Hua Qingyuan asked Xiao Xuanyin how he discovered this array flag. After a clear and straightforward exchange of body language, Hua Qingyuan learned it was Xiao Xuanyin who, while going out at night to absorb the essence of heaven and earth, saw someone defiling this place. Do you remember what that person looked like? Hua Qingyuan asked. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Xuanyin began to utilize his spiritual energy. Quickly, a familiar face appeared before Hua Qingyuan. It was Zhao Ru, as he suspected. Hua Qingyuan had long suspected this brat, but removing the flag without being discovered was too difficult. So he planned to tamper with this flag. As long as Zhao Ru activated the flag, His sword energy could follow the trail, instantly destroying the formation. This way, he can rest easy. Suddenly Hua Qingyuan excitedly looked at him. Hua Qingyuan asked doubtfully, "You think you've earned merit?" Immediately, Hua Qingyuan pinched his chubby little face, telling him in the sect's rules, he cannot play. Hua Qingyuan was very unhappy to hear this. He angrily pulled open his sleeve. Holding the talisman, he snorted coldly. Hua Qingyuan understood his meaning. "You mean since the talisman works, you can play?" he said, his eyes widening suddenly. He looked at Hua Qingyuan with delight. Since this sect's grand competition does not restrict any rules, talismans, formations, and even capturing opponents are all allowed, then using my own cultivated spirit beast to support the battle should not be a problem, right? However, just as Hua Qingyuan was excited about being able to participate, encircling him, Hua Qingyuan apologetically told Hua Qingyuan, but he planned to forfeit tomorrow. Even if he took him along, it would be impossible for him to compete. The next morning, the sect competition proceeded as usual. However, one person was conspicuously absent. An elder frowned and asked Hua Qingyuan why he had not appeared yet. These words caused a murmur among the disciples below. Elder Dong stood up and loudly scolded Hua Qingyuan, "That stinky," for treating such an important matter so frivolously. This time Good did not retort, but looked embarrassed. He told Elder Dong that his disciple had a certain habit. No matter what, he only starts missions at the hour of the eye, or goes to the training grounds. Every time I scold him, he says things like 9 to 5, words I do not understand at all. Now it's the Chen hour, so he's surely in his cave dwelling. I could not make it. Anyone hearing this excuse would be furious. Lantong standing nearby even suggested that if Hua Qingyuan is so unconcerned about the competition, he should be disqualified. Seeing the situation getting out of hand, the second elder coughed twice, to remind them not to forget yesterday's plan. Sun Jiawen also spoke to appease the elders. He said to let Elder Xiao stall for time. Yu would quickly send someone to summon Hua Qingyuan. Elder Xiao's face darkened upon hearing the message. The sect master was actually making tens of thousands of disciples, as well as more than 10 hall masters, and elders wait for one disciple's whim. He deliberately waited for him to finish. He awkwardly told his disciples that Hua Qingyuan had something to attend to and could not arrive on time. He asked his disciples to remain calm and wait patiently. As soon as he said this, outrage erupted. They all claimed there was foul play. Suddenly an angry shout rang out. Cao Yu Jiangxin stood with his back ramrod straight. He said, "The path of cultivation. Each has their own obsessions and methods. Some while cultivating silently chant scriptures. Others cultivate by adopting special postures to perceive the heavens and earth. Senior Brother Ho has his own path. They should naturally understand and be tolerant, instead of blindly criticizing." As the 11 disciples on stage all agree to wait for Senior Brother Ha, then I hope everyone can wait a little longer. After speaking, Xiao Yu Jiangxin clasped his fists and bowed to the 11 people behind him, saying, "Senior brothers and sisters, are you willing to wait for Senior Brother Ho's arrival to continue the competition?" The first to speak was Jiang Du. He thought Yu Jiangxin made sense. Still early anyway. Waiting a little longer is not a problem. The second person is Zhou Tianlu. He said only Junior Sister Yu could match his standards. Since Junior Sister spoke, then waiting a little longer is fine. Seeing that the top two Tianjiao had no objection, others also expressed indifference. Seeing this, Xiao Yu Jiangxin was overjoyed. He clasped his fists again to express his gratitude. Suddenly a cold shout rang out, saying he disagreed. A Mirlinggong realm 8th stage? A person who got here by sheer luck. Why should they waste their time waiting for him? Xiao Yu Jiangxin turned his head to look. The speaker was Wang Dao, ranked 12th on the Tianjiao list. He again pleaded for a chance for his senior brother Hua. Unexpectedly, he was interrupted. Wang Dao told Yu Jiangxin, even if Hua Qingyuan came, he'd still be eliminated. There's no need to wait for him. The words had just left his mouth. A powerful shockwave forced Zhu Dao to retreat. His face was already drenched in cold sweat. At this moment, Xiao Yu Jiangxin's eyes flashed with a fierce light. He said, "Senior brother Zhu, are you still willing to wait for Master Ha Qi?" Feeling the murderous aura surrounding him, Wang Dao immediately cowered. I timidly said that waiting a little while would not matter. Even so, many disciples remained dissatisfied with the decision. It was not until an hour later that Hua Qingyuan's figure appeared in everyone's sight. His expression clearly showed he had just woken up. As soon as he landed awesome roasted sweet potato, Hua Qingyuan noticed many disapproving glances. Even with his thick skin, even he, after getting sunburnt selling roasted sweet potatoes, could only bow and politely excuse himself to everyone. He thought to himself, I'm used to the 9 to 5 routine. This competition's time was moved up to the Chen hour 7-9 am, but the sect master did not cancel his participation. Suddenly Hua Qingyuan noticed several female disciples in the crowd were looking at him. He wondered what was up with these female disciples. Could it be because I'm too handsome? And that's why these female disciples are paying attention to me? However, he did not know that thanks to Kujing's enthusiastic promotion, he had already become a hot topic in the female disciples' gossip circle. This is the one. Senior brother Hua Qingyuan, whose senior sister Yu just defended, their Dao companion. They could not believe it, that the aloof sword master, senior sister Yu, would actually seek a partner. Another female disciple told him to keep his voice down. He'd heard that the two were worried about being separated by the hall masters, so they only dare to have a secret relationship. It's exactly like the plot of the story I must tell about the aloof senior sister. The other female disciple thought, more like the domineering senior sister fell for me. He heard that senior sister Yu is keeping that senior brother Hoa. Although the entire Qingyun Sword Sect is immersed in the atmosphere of cultivation, relaxation after cultivation is also indispensable. Note: if they do not find something to pass the time, they are very likely to go into demon possession. My cultivation has not increased, it's regressed. Many female disciples use it to pass the time. A way to calm their Tao hearts, that is reading novels. Soon Wen Jian announced the start of the competition. But Hua Qingyuan noticed that Wen Jian had tampered with the Jade Plague, and the first match was against him. His opponent was Wang Dao, ranked 12th on the Tianjiu list. But none of that matters anymore. Hua Qingyuan directly told Elder Zhao that he was forfeiting, but as soon as he finished, he heard Wen Jian's voice, saying that the sect competition was nearing its end. These 12 disciples are all outstanding disciples of our Qingyun Sword Sect. I hope you disciples will all show your brilliance. Stand with confidence, given the strength of you disciples. No one should be afraid to fight and retreat first, attempting to surrender, right? Is not this clearly telling him not to forfeit? If he surrenders without a fight, he will definitely be condemned by the sect's rules, and become a public enemy of the sect. Thinking of this, Hua Qingyuan could only grit his teeth and continue the competition. He thought to himself, Wen Jian's tea this month is gone. Because of his previous 2 matches, the flaws in his formations had already been discovered by the other disciples. Even if Wang Dao's cultivation was at the Purple Mansion realm, first level, he would have the ability to break them. After a masterful display of acting, his formations were completely broken by Wang Dao. It looks like we're about to lose. Time to go home, relax. Suddenly, the wooden token at his waist began to vibrate. Wang Dao's joyful expression immediately fell. Hua Qingyuan opened his eyes, equally puzzled. Yuzuda, that he could not move a muscle. Who would have thought that the usually well-behaved and cute little Xuan Yin, when she actually fights, is a terrifying existence who can crush everyone below the 5th level of Purple Mansion cultivation. Such a terrifying existence, seeing Wang Dao's sword strike. Hua Qingyuan closed her eyes, thinking that she could finally continue to lie flat. Unexpectedly, the wooden token at his waist suddenly vibrated twice. Wang Dao's attack aimed at him froze mid-air. Hua Qingyuan could not react for a moment. What was going on? But soon he saw that it was Xiao Xuan Yin who had made the move. As long as Xiao Xuan Yin did not reveal himself, to others he was just a gust of wind. He watched the faintly visible figure in the wind. Hua Qingyuan was quite shocked. When did this little guy follow me? But soon he discovered that at some point, a wooden tag made from a 1,000-year-old locust tree had appeared at his waist. It is said that Xuan Yin, this type of divine beast, belongs to the Yin spirit. It can reside in ancient tombs to cultivate its soul body. As for why little Xuan Yin appeared on him, Hua Qingyuan guessed it must have been done while he was asleep. However, as he was lost in thought, Wang Dao, unaware, he mistook the sinister wind before him for Hua Qingyuan's formation. He was beaten senseless by Xiao Xuan Yin, unable to fight back. He could not even see how Xiao Xuan Yin was attacking. Looking at the empty space behind him, Wang Dao felt a chill run down his spine. He loudly asked Hua Qingyuan what he had done. Hua Qingyuan helplessly spread his hands. He thought to himself that when little Xuan Yin faced Yu Qingwu and the others, he had subdued them all with absolute advantage. He probably could easily defeat cultivators below the 5th level of Purple Mansion, not to mention Wang Dao, who was only at the 1st level of Purple Mansion. This scene made the watching disciples' hair stand on end. What was that gust of evil wind? Why did senior brother Wang suddenly start acting like a shaman? Xiao Xuan Yin's come was half a beat too slow, and he was caught off guard by Director Wang, who seized the opportunity to declare his intention to fight Hua Qingyuan to the death. However, Xiao Xuan Yin did not want to give him that chance. He used the old granny suing pants move, knocking Director Wang nearly unconscious. After crashing to the ground, he reluctantly declared his surrender. Hua Qingyuan also grabbed Xiao Xuan Yin at this moment and told him to stop, but this scene seen by the other disciples seemed rather strange. Hua Qingyuan then asked Xuan Yin, was not he told to stay in his cave dwelling? Why did he come out? But as soon as he finished speaking, a pair of big watery eyes met his gaze. Hua Qingyuan's anger immediately dissipated. He helplessly poked out Xuan Yin's chubby little face. He wondered how he could have brought this mischievous child home. At this moment, Director Wang finally saw clearly what was attacking him. He loudly accused Hua Qingyuan of using a spirit beast to fight 1-on-2, which was unfair. As soon as these words came out, Hua Qingyuan's actions caused a stir among the disciples below. Elder Dong, who had always been prejudiced against Hua Qingyuan, immediately began to shout insults. He said that Hua Qingyuan had not drawn his sword once throughout the competition, and that his Qingyun Sword Sect had never taught talisman techniques or beast-controlling methods. Therefore, Qingyun must be a spy sent by the demon sect. Hearing his disciple being suspected, Yu immediately angrily scolded old Dong, saying that this sect's grand competition did not restrict any battle conditions. Qingyun realm only has spiritual master realm eightfold. He must have figured it out. With his swordsmanship alone, he could not achieve results. That's why he chose another path, using talisman formations and spirit beasts to fight. Seeing this, Wen Jian told him to remain calm. He had deliberately arranged for Wang Dao and Hua Qingyuan to fight. This was to allow Wang Dao to break the talisman formation used by Qingyun. Taking this opportunity, he wanted to determine if Qingyun had any connection to the demon sect. But unexpectedly, he won the battle using a spirit beast. The spirit beast in the viewing gallery is probably the legendary divine beast Xuan Yin. He was able to reveal such a rare divine beast. It's truly an extravagant undertaking. Hearing that the little thing is actually the Xuan Yin divine beast, the elders were quite shocked. He reminded them not to forget their purpose this time. Hua Qingyuan indeed did not use the methods of the demon sect. That of course is also a kind of combat power. Yu was quite satisfied with this. He agreed that the second elder was right. He quickly voiced his approval. Elder Zhao then announced Hua Qingyuan's victory. Seeing his report had been ineffective, Wang Dao vowed to kill him the next time they met. Xiao Xuan Yin frowned slightly upon hearing this. Chuang Yan Wei. His eyes ignited with a trace of anger. His form transformed into a gust of yin wind and charged towards Wang Dao. Watching this somewhat farcical scene, Hua Qingyuan could only feel helpless, but then again, he really could not understand what the sect master was trying to do. He himself had not even broken any rules. It was simply too absurd. Thinking about sweet potatoes, Hua Qingyuan, holding the wooden sign, told Xiao Xuan Yin to go back first. He then retreated to a suitable location to watch the battle. Underground Qingsu City. At this very moment, the Qingyun Sword Sect's grand competition was underway in full swing. During the sect's grand competition, dozens of demon sect cultivators, all at the 8th level of the Purple Mansion realm, were gathered in Qingsu City not far from the Qingyun Sword Sect. A figure slowly emerged from the Blood Sea True Monarch's Immortal Ascension Realm 4th stage. The Blood Sea Sect Master saw him. Blood Sea True Monarch told him that the contact person planted in the Qingyun Sword Sect had already set up the heaven-obscuring spirit-concealing formation. Now they only need to wait for the formation to open. Hearing his words, the roasted sweet potato, the Purple Mansion Realm cultivator found it hard to believe. So with their strength, can they really conquer Qingyun Sword Sect? When Jan is at the 6th level of the Ascension Realm, the Ascension Realm elders and several other hall masters, under the Blood Sea True Monarch, have also specially sent 2 fellow dice to assist. Sect Master Shangbei of the Demon Cloud Sect is at the 4th level of the Ascension Realm. Lawai, the Sect Master of Xuanyin Sect, they all possess the demonic power bestowed by the Great Lord, coupled with the restrictions of the heaven-obscuring spirit-concealing array. After today, the Qingyun Sword Sect will cease to exist in this world, and the Lord of Demons we worship will once again descend upon this world. Time flies. The sect competition is nearing its end. Zhao Tianlu, true disciple of Lian Hall, arrived in the air. The final trial of this sect competition will determine the ultimate victor within the Qingyun Mountain and River map. It is said that this is a treasure left behind by the Grandmaster when Qingyun Sword Sect was founded. This high-grade spiritual treasure contains mountains and rivers within. Countless rare treasures also exist within. It's a secret realm unique to the Qingyun Sword Sect. Then when Jan explained the rules of this competition, the rules were a battle royal, something Hua Qingyuan was familiar with from a past life, and it was to be live-streamed the whole time. After hearing this, Hua Qingyuan understood. If he did not fight and try to escape, Fangting will inevitably plummet to freezing point. It seems I can only continue the act. Soon the Qingyun Mountain and River map unfolds. 6 figures are sucked into the map. Immediately afterward, when Jan puts away the scroll, with his other hand he gestures, 6 images appear in the sky above the plaza. Each corresponds to one of the 6 Qingyun disciples. Unlike the disciples who were moved by the scenery in the painting, Gyu saw in Jan's intention. The heaven and earth map is now connected to his very being. He can control anything within the map with a thought. No matter how powerful that spy is, they would not be able to cause any trouble. In a corner of Qingyun Sword Sect, a dark-haired disciple asked the person beside him, "It's gone." Senior brother Zio's concealing aura technique prevents the formation from opening. After hearing that, he was told not to worry. They said senior brother Zhao had foreseen this situation. Follow me. Senior brother Zhao had already made preparations on Lion Peak beforehand. Within the Haoshuqiankun Shan map, Hua Qingyuan gazed at the beautiful scenery before him, unable to help but exclaim, "This is the peach blossom source, such a beautiful peach blossom forest. If it were my past life, it would definitely become a popular internet check-in spot." From the perspective of the moment the Shan map unfolded, I'm in the northwest corner of Peach Blossom Source. Just go to the center of Peach Blossom Source, and wait for the other disciples there beforehand, then I'll deliberately lose by feigning defeat. It's perfect. But just as I finished thinking, a golden sword key suddenly appeared, and slashed towards me. Hua Qingyuan leaped suddenly, dodging the attack. Peach blossoms flew everywhere. He looked ahead at Hua Qingyuan. "Rather unexpectedly, it's you." A man's figure emerged from the depths of the peach orchard. Jiangdu, a smile playing on his lips, said, "Long time no see. Qingyun Jr. brother. Since a year ago, when we went out on a mission together." Before he could finish, Qingyun interrupted, saying he still remembered that incident. Jiangdu responded, "Thanks to my junior brother, his strength has greatly increased, and he also understood the enormous gap between himself and a true monster, but he still wanted to re-experience Qingyun Jr. brother's swordsmanship. To what extent can a person go to completely slack off?" Well, Qingyun opened his mouth and said, "Look, there's Ultraman behind me." Even with tens of thousands of disciples watching, he still did not intend to reveal his true strength. Instead, he chose to retreat, the best policy. Not only, but even the watching disciples were dumbfounded. Although Hua Qingyun's cultivation was somewhat inferior, fleeing in the face of battle was, in their opinion, utterly shameful. At this time, some disciples noticed what Jiangdu had said to Hua Qingyuan when they first met, and suspected that Hua Qingyuan was hiding his strength. They even suspected he was stronger than Jiangdu, even stronger than Jiangdu. Of course, some disciples believed that was Jiangdu's sarcastic and ambiguous remark to Hua Qingyuan. A thrilling chase scene is unfolding. Jiangdu's sword is slow, unable to catch up with Hua Qingyuan. Finally, he could not help but unleash a sword strike. His terrifying destructive power is shocking. Jiangdu glared fiercely at Hua Qingyuan. This is enough to show his high level of cultivation. Why run? He truly underestimated Hua Qingyuan's determination to lie flat. Saying that Jiangdu could clear his name out of thin air, his cultivation base is It's purely because he's lucky. He directly left the audience and disciples speechless. Ladong found it even harder to accept. His own Qingyun Sword Sect? How could there be such a shameless person? As Jiangdu's words left his mouth, Lantong also began to suspect that Hua Qingyuan was truly a hidden expert. His reluctance to fight was simply illogical. At this time, the second elder beside him showed an I understand expression. He told Lantong that there was only one truth. These two are acting strangely. One of them must be a demonic cultivator. Then he looked at Wenjian. Forced into fight. Determine who the spy is through battle. Wenjian thought this made sense. Observing their direction, it's the direction of Lion Peak. Wenjian was incredibly shocked at this moment, because judging by the aura, it was demonic energy. On a certain mountain peak of Lion Peak, two figures silently watched the direction of the sect competition and said, he truly is worthy of being senior brother Zhao Ru. He actually predicted the current situation long ago. As long as we activate the formation, reinforcements sent by that lord will arrive. For that lord. At the same time as he spoke these words, the Black Jade Talisman was also crushed. A torrential demonic energy began to rage in the air, rising from every peak, finally converging, forming the outline of an array, even within the Qingyun mountain and river map. Let me see what that is. Judging from the aura permeating the diagram, it's a forced fury red. All the outer disciples panicked. It's a demonic array. There's a traitor. Lodong and Guyu were the first to charge towards the array, intending to destroy it while it was still unstable. However, their attacks barely touched the array. I was repelled by strands of dark purple light. Judging by its intensity, it's at least the level of a sect protecting formation. Tell everyone, that's the heaven obscuring spirit sealing formation. This formation can seal off the spiritual energy and perception between heaven and earth. It's extremely powerful. The trapping formation must be broken from the outside, or we can find and destroy the formation flags. Wenjin responded, ordering all the Jufeng disciples to find the formation flags and destroy them. There's no need for so much trouble. Exia, Sect Master Wen actually remembers my name. It's truly my honor. Her voice was mature and alluring. Wenjin heard this, saying they were attacking his Qingyun Sword Sect for a truly painstaking effort. The next moment, his 6th-level Transcendence Realm cultivation erupted. But just with you lot, you also want to conquer my Qingyun Sword Sect. You're far too overestimating yourselves. However, seeing Wenjian charging at him, as a level 4 Transcendent, he not only blocked Wenjian's attack, but also repelled Wenjian directly. He said, Sect Master Wen remains as domineering as ever. It's a pity that you will all die here today. He then pointed at Wenjian, and immediately Wenjian was as if struck by a heavy blow. He was somewhat incredulous. The power of the demon god, the ultimate yin and evil power of the demon world. The demon race once invaded Qingyuan realm using the power of the demon god. After the war subsided that year, the power of the demon god also disappeared without a trace. After hearing Wenjian's words, Lantong behind him was also quite astonished. The power of the demon god has long been lost. How can Blood Sea True Monarch possess such power? At the same time, Blood Sea True Monarch immediately ordered the seizure of the mountain and river map. The disciples originally wanted to stop him, but suddenly a series of maniacal laughs echoed. The terrifying power of the demon god surged from Luoya's body. Lantong and the others were sent flying. Then, with 2 fingers, he made a move. The universe mountain river map fell into Luoya's hands. A trace of despair flashed in Lantong's eyes. How he also has the power of the demon god. Just then, the universe mountain river map that fell into Luoya's hands was enveloped by the power of the demon god. Wenjian discovered, my connection to the mountain and river map has been severed. The Blood Sea True Monarch told Wenjian with boundless pride that they possess the power of demons, so do not struggle pointlessly. Just obediently wait for 2 hours, to be refined into blood soul pearls by the Great Array, and contribute to their summoning of the demon lord. The heaven-concealing spirit-sealing Great Array begins to operate. Some weaker disciples fell to their knees, loudly crying for help. A cold light flashed in Blood Sea True Monarch's eyes. He said, rest assured, not a single Qingyun sect member will escape. I will ensure they reunite on the road to the underworld. He then called out 2 names, Xinyuan and Meng Feng, to enter the mountain river map and slaughter all the Qingyun sect's talented young disciples. The 2 responded. Without the slightest pause, they rushed into the Shanty 2. Hua Qingyuan dodged Jiangdu's attack, while telling him to stop, saying he was not curious why. The world had just shaken. At this moment, Jiangdu was already enraged. It's just other fellow disciples of the mortal realm fighting. This time he would not fool me again. Hua Qingyuan, upon hearing this, sighed inwardly. I have no choice but to stop him. Suddenly he sensed something. Good, I do not need to make a move. Then Hua Qingyuan lightly leaped up. 2 attacks collided. Jiangdu was completely bewildered. Then wave after wave of energy assaulted him. Jiangdu blocked them all. Wang Lan, you're getting involved too. Wang Lan, he just wanted the 2 senior brothers to stop fighting. He wanted to ask them about the recent tremors. He must have sensed the wind Dao he cultivates. He can perceive all subtle changes in the aura. 2 unfamiliar spiritual energies at the 9th level of Purple Mansion Realm have invaded Peach Blossom Valley. Seeing his hesitation, Hua Qingyuan directly stated that the sect had been attacked, and the intruders even broke into this place. Only then did Jiang Du hesitate. But he still did not believe it. With the sect master at the 6th level of the transcendent realm guarding the place, who would dare attack? After listening, Wang Lan took out a transmission jade talisman, and said that the sect master's aura had disappeared. Their connection to the outside world must have been cut off. If you do not believe me, you can verify it yourself. The jade talisman allows the holder to automatically withdraw from the competition if they encounter danger. And emotions. Automatically withdrawing? Leaving Peach Blossom Land? So that's how it is. After saying this, Jiang Du looked at Wang Lan with some annoyance. He said, I think you're trying to trick us into withdrawing from the competition. At this time Hua Qingyuan yawned. He told them to stop arguing. Let's try and see. The words had just left his mouth when the sound transmission jade talisman was crushed. However, Hua Qingyuan was not teleported away. Seeing this, Jiang Du and Wang Lan suddenly saw a purple light flash behind them. The three figures moved simultaneously, dodging the attack. Asking me really is. The man laughed, saying it was too late to realize now. Nameless Qingyuan is the one who will take your lives. Take your... He's clearly the bottom-ranked, insignificant disciple of the sect, the bottom-ranked disciple of his family. Yet he captured the heart of the talented junior sister. Now he's even at the ant realm. To save the entire sect. After listening to Qingyuan's self-introduction, Hua Qingyuan was puzzled. Are villains these days so polite? Qingyuan did not reply. Thinking to himself, this cultivator from ant realm is quite skilled. He was actually able to use talismans to dissipate my attack. After that thought, Qingyuan laughed and took off his black robe. I thought True Lord had sent them in to deal with a few insignificant demons. It seemed a waste of their talent. A gross underutilization of their abilities, so I only used 30% of my strength just now. I was afraid they would die too soon, but they really did not disappoint me. Hearing that the opponent had only used 30% of their strength in their attack, Jiang Du's two companions' expressions involuntarily darkened. Who exactly is Qingyuan? Why could he break into the Shan too? What exactly happened to his Qingyun Sword Sect? Qingyuan nonchalantly stretched his neck. He told the two that the Qingyun Sword Sect had been destroyed. In less than 2 hours, the entire Qingyun Sword Sect would be refined into blood soul beads by his demon sect, completely disappear from this world. Compared to hearing this news, Jiang Du's shocked expressions, Hua Qingyuan felt speechless. He had only participated in the sect's grand competition and his kung fu skills were stolen. At this moment Qingyuan struck a pose, telling them, try your best to please him before that. After hearing this, neither of them said much more. Their first move was their strongest attack. Skycloud Severing Moon. In comparison, Hua Qingyuan only symbolically threw out a talisman. Seeing the scene, both Jiang and the other person were speechless. Talking about Hua Qingyuan, this is way too lackadaisical. Qingyuan does not care about that. He laughs continuously while watching, saying they're nothing more than this, with sword energy emitted. However, at the same time the attack disappears, streams of flames, it came crashing towards him. It was Hua Qingyuan's Bane Dragon Talisman, but it did not cause Qingyuan any harm. Instead, it heightened his interest. He directly attacked Jiang Du with 50% of his strength. Seeing Jiang Du was unable to react, a green sword energy deflected, forcing Qingyuan to retreat. This successful strike undoubtedly boosted Wang Lan's confidence. Jiang Du sees this opening. Meanwhile, Hua Qingyuan watched the scene before him. Talismans flew out from his sleeves one after another, his subordinate's last resort. It was time to use them. Having decided, Hua Qingyuan's fingertip was enveloped in green spiritual energy. As she put her finger to her ear, the green light disappeared into the air. Quickly, the green light flew out of the Qingyun. The Shan flew straight towards Wenjian. Immediately afterward, Hua Qingyuan's voice rang out in his ear, asking if he could hear. A wave of turmoil surged through his heart. He was told that his connection with the Shan had been severed by the demon sect. How did Hua Qingyuan do it? Hua Qingyuan did not explain much. After a brief explanation, he asked Wenjian about the current situation of the Qingyun Sword Sect. After listening to Wenjian's reply, if nothing unexpected happens, their Qingyun Sword Sect will be lining up at the gates of hell in 2 hours. Hua Qingyuan told him it was not a big problem. He had sent a voice transmission for another matter. He had previously discovered the flag Zhao Ru had deployed in Jufeng, so he had preemptively set up a sword energy. As long as he activated the sword energy, the grand formation would be instantly damaged. They could use this opportunity to send a distress signal, or even break out of the encirclement. Hearing this news, Wenjian felt a sudden decrease in pressure. He told Hua Qingyuan, if not for the constraints of the Great Formation, they could all fight the demonic cultivators to the death. However, on the journey through the mountains and rivers, they could only rely on themselves. But to go to the deepest part of Peach Blossom Spring, he left a helper there. Hua Qingyuan responded. Wenjian then began the countdown. 3, 2, 1. With the countdown's end, a formation flag in the forest was shredded by sword energy. The heaven-concealing spirit shielding grand formation, which enveloped the entire Qingyun Sword Sect, began to show cracks. Seeing this, the demonic cultivators cried out in alarm. The Blood Sea True Monarch looked up to the sky. Samba reacted instantly. He stated that an array formation had been destroyed. Lawai was even more puzzled. Was not the Qingyun Sword Sect supposed to be deserted? Just as they were discussing this, he led the disciples in a counterattack. Call for assistance from fellow cultivators of the Xiaming. Qingyuan and Jiang Du's battle is nearing its end. Huan tells Jiang Du that he's already subdued Qingyuan. Jiang Du reacts incredibly quickly. Before Wang Lan can even speak, He's already charging up his sword technique. However, facing Jiangdu's full-powered strike, Qingyuan showed no sign of panic. He said, "Is this the strength of the Qingyun Sword Sect's elite disciples?" Then he shouted, "That's all you've got?" Wang Lan's control and Jiangdu's sword energy were broken. Two illusory palms instantly subdued them both. Qingyuan told me that he was quite disappointed with this hunt. Qingyuan's expression froze.